In 1983, Bai Yan returned from the military to marry me. At his request, I gave up my job opportunity for his sworn sister, Chu Shinro. I spent 30 years as a grass widow in my hometown, tending to his parents until their passing, then seized a chance to visit him at the military base. Only then did I realize our marriage was nothing but a sham. He and Chu Shinro had a son and a daughter. Seeing their 2 children, now around 30 years old, I had a huge fight with Boyan. He had me sent to prison on charges of undermining a military marriage. Due to years of overwork, I fell seriously ill and died in prison. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at the moment Boyan proposed to me. He said the exact same words as in my previous life: "I can marry you, but you must give the job opportunity to Shinro, she needs it more than you do." My first instinct was to claw that black-hearted bastard's face to shreds. I looked at the strikingly handsome man before me. But his eyes held nothing but contempt for me, not a trace of the shy flutter one might expect from a confession. I knew then that I had truly been reborn, and for a moment, I was overwhelmed with excitement. When I remained silent, Bai Yan assumed I was overjoyed, yet his expression grew even more stern. He asked coldly, "Do you understand what I'm saying? If you want to marry me, you must give up your job to Shinro. She needs this position more than you do to support herself. Your parents are both employed, and you'll have other opportunities in the future. There's no need to cling to this one." Bai Yan's words sounded like an accusation, but what right did he have? In my past life, having secretly admired Bai Yan for 3 years, I accepted his proposal without a moment's hesitation when he asked to marry me. After hearing about Chu Shinro's situation, I softened and ended up giving her the opportunity that was rightfully mine. Chu Shinro ended up going to the military hospital that was originally meant for me. The director thought I was ungrateful and never gave me another promotion opportunity. Later, he even made up an excuse to demote me from a doctor to a nurse. He claimed it was Bai Yan's idea, saying it would allow me to focus more on taking care of the family. From then on, I stayed in my hometown as a lowly nurse, tending to Bai Yan's parents with nothing but a marriage certificate to my name. Bai Yan always used work as an excuse, only coming home once every 2 or 3 years, and never sharing a bed with me. He claimed it was out of respect, saying he didn't treat me like a housemaid. He also promised that someday he'd give me the dignity I deserved. I lived like a widow for 30 years, tending to Bai Yan's parents until they passed, before finally packing my things to seek him out at the military base. I thought I would be met with dignity and Bai Yan's care. To my surprise, I saw Bai Yan and Chu Shinro holding hands in the military compound, accompanied by a pair of children calling them mom and dad. Seeing the 2 children, who were nearly 30 years old, I realized I had been completely deceived. I finally confirmed the truth. Bai Yan had married Chu Shinro behind my back and started a family with children. I became the biggest joke. Furious, I charged forward and slapped Bai Yan and Chu Shinro repeatedly. Bai Yan shielded Chu Shinro and shoved me to the ground. I was then dragged off to a cell by the guards. I tried to explain the situation to the authorities, but Bai Yan claimed I was obsessively pursuing him and that the marriage certificate was a fake I had arranged. Only then did I realize Bai Yan never intended to protect my reputation. He had used me completely, and now he was pinning the blame and disgrace on me. I snatched that marriage certificate I'd looked at countless times, now worn and tattered. The memories of how I once cherished it stung my eyes. Amidst the stunned gazes of everyone, I tore the marriage certificate to shreds with all my might and flung it furiously at Bai Yan, cursing him to die a wretched death. He called me insane, claiming I shamelessly overstayed my welcome at the Bai residence just to pressure him into marrying me through public opinion. He only returned home once every 2 or 3 years, fearing I would pester him, and never dared bring Chu Shinro along. Worried I might harm his wife and children in a fit of rage, he told his superiors he had done everything he could for me, and they nearly had me executed on charges of sabotaging a military marriage and driving 2 elderly people to their deaths. Someone must have pleaded on my behalf, and I ended up serving 10 years in prison. Every day in that cell, I cursed Bai Yan and Chu Shinro, wishing they'd rot in the deepest pits of hell, and take their damn kid with them. Years of backbreaking labor and abuse from my in-laws had pushed my body to the brink. I suffered a heart attack in prison, and when I died, my rage was so intense that I actually came back to life. For once, fate showed me some mercy. This time, I'll make sure Bai Yan and Chu Shinro plunge into utter despair. 2. Did you actually understand what I meant? Seeing me spaced out, Bai Yan finally lost his patience and asked me in a cold, sharp tone, I suppressed my urge to strangle Bai Yan and replied with a bitter laugh, I understood perfectly, but you've misunderstood. I have no romantic feelings for you, so I must decline your marriage proposal. As for the job opportunity, since you're so eager to help your adopted sister, you should use your own connections to get her transferred. I earned my opportunity through hard work and merit, and I have no reason, nor any intention, to hand it over to someone who's trying to cut in line. I mocked that Chu Shinro, whom Bai Yan had spoken of, was nothing but a useless airhead. Without another glance at Boyan's unpleasant expression, I turned to leave. I couldn't stand looking at that face for another second. I was afraid I might lose control and scratch that hateful face of his. Boyan stepped forward to block my path, refusing to even touch me as he spat with disgust. Isn't marriage what you wanted? Stop pretending. Don't think your privileged background gives you the right to toy with people. Mark my words, this is your only chance. If you don't take it seriously, I'll never mention marriage again after today. You'll regret this. He's still upset about it. It was only from Bai Yan's attitude that I remembered he had come to see me a few days ago. It was all to get me to voluntarily give up the job opportunity for Chu Shinro, in a fit of pique. I told him he could have the transfer opportunity for Chu Shinro if he married me. He must really be head over heels for Chu Shinro, going so far as to marry me just for her sake. Even if it's fake, it still makes me sick. Hearing him say that just made me feel like I had it coming. His humiliation snapped me back to reality. This scumbag is going to get what's coming to him. I took a few steps forward, and Bai Yan instinctively backed away, putting distance between us. I never realized in my past life how much he actually despised me, and I foolishly mistook it for respect. I must have been blind. Bai Yan, with the way you're treating me, I'm starting to doubt you actually want to marry me. Bai Yan froze for a moment, his gaze fixed on me as he suddenly clenched his fists. Still speaking coldly, he said, if you still want to marry me, give me your household register. I'll have someone get the marriage certificate tomorrow. As for the wedding photo, we'll skip it due to time constraints. After getting the certificate, I must return to the military immediately. We'll postpone the wedding banquet too, but you must clarify the job opportunity with your dean today. I let out a cold laugh inwardly. This man, even his tactics against me are exactly the same. I only blame myself for being too foolish in my past life, never suspecting anything between him and Chu Shinro. I actually thought I was being considerate of his hardships, so right after we got our marriage certificate, I immediately gave the job opportunity to Chu Shinro. Now I realize that in my past life, the two of them set me up together. They probably left together. What a perfect pair flying off side by side. It turned my beautiful life into a living hell, forever playing the bridesmaid while others took the spotlight. Gritting my teeth with rage, I stated firmly, I won't marry you. It was all a joke before. Let me make this clear once more. I have no romantic feelings for you, and I won't give up my job opportunity to Chu Shinro. If she wants it, she should improve her skills. I trust the old dean's judgment to be fair and just. Favoritism and corruption are not my family's values. When I said I wouldn't marry him, Bai Yan showed no reaction, just annoyance. But when I refused to give up the job, his face darkened, his expression turned cold and stern as he said, what do you mean by that? Just because you come from a privileged background, you think you're better than everyone else? If it weren't for your family connections, do you really think your medical skills alone would have earned you this transfer opportunity? Shinro has never been inferior to you. Your parents pulled some strings, didn't they? Is that your family's so-called values? My medical skills were highly praised by patients at the hospital. The director declared me the most promising among the younger generation, insisting that if I kept at it, I would undoubtedly make a significant impact in the community. But in my previous life, after Bai Yan and I got married, the director's attitude toward me turned cold. I was stuck struggling as a nurse, never setting foot in the operating room again. I could only watch enviously as others saved lives. And though I dreamed time and again of doing the same, I'd wake to the reality of being an ordinary person trying to please my husband and in-laws. The hands that once held a scalpel had long been roughened by household chores. It turns out Bai Yan never thought much of me from the start, and that extended to my parents as well. In my past life, I cut ties with my family to marry him, and only returned for a glimpse when my parents passed away, even until their last breath. My parents still had me in their thoughts and left me a substantial inheritance. I went to Bai Yan with that inheritance, only to end up imprisoned for 10 years. I could tolerate his words against me, but daring to speak ill of my parents, that was beyond unforgivable. I took advantage of Bai Yan's distraction, rushed forward, and clawed at his face. I only wish I had longer nails to truly disfigure him. Bayan's face was in excruciating pain. He shoved me away forcefully, and I staggered a few steps before steadying myself, glaring at him with pure hatred. Bayan was terrified by my glare and actions. Guiltily, he stammered, You're insane. 3. I yelled out, someone come quick, everyone, look at Bayan acting like a creep, call for help. My shouting drew a small crowd, and Bayan covered his face, shot me a glare, and hurried away. I spat in the direction of Bayan's retreating figure. I looked up and met the probing gaze of a man outside the low wall. Everyone else had scattered, but he remained standing there. I rolled my eyes at the man, directing the anger I felt for Bayan toward him, and snapped irritably, What are you staring at? Never seen a pretty girl lose her temper. After saying that, I turned around, opened the door, and went inside, muttering under my breath, What bad luck. Who knows if that guy is carrying some virus. I need to disinfect myself. These days, there isn't even any rabies vaccine. I'd better be careful. I heard a soft chuckle behind me and turned to glare at the person. Why are you still here? Do you want me to scratch a map on your face too? The man approached with a patient smile, carrying cans and candies. His eyes softened as he spoke gently. I'm Liang Yujie, a former student of Professor Leng. I'm here to visit him. Is he home by any chance? My face flushed instantly, and I hurried to explain. I wasn't being unreasonable earlier. It's just that Mr. Bai kept pestering me. My father raised me with proper manners, I promise. The more I tried to explain, the more flustered I became. Under his calm smile, my cheeks burned crimson, and I mumbled weakly, please come in. I led him inside, and he continued in that same gentle tone, I believe Professor Leng and his wife must have mentioned me before. I took a closer look at him and said with a smile as I offered him a seat, My parents often mention you, saying you're more like their own child than I am. They did say a few days ago that you'd be coming back. Brother Liang, please sit, I'll make you some tea. I was genuinely happy and went to get the tea leaves my father had been saving. In my past life, I broke my parents' hearts, and even after marriage, I wasn't happy. That's why I couldn't face going back home to see them. I later heard that Liang Yujie visited my parents every year, and he was the one who arranged the hospital for them when they were critically ill. I secretly went to see my parents and witnessed Liang Yujie keeping vigil by their bedside all night. I was truly grateful to him at that time. I even had a memorial tablet made for him at the temple to honor his memory. My father once said that Liang Yujie was his most accomplished student, though it's a shame he later dropped out to join the military. I met him when I was a child, but I can't recall what he looked like back then. I only remember that his family was very poor. He was an orphan who lived with his grandmother after his parents passed away from illness. Later, his grandmother also passed away, and my father helped fund his middle school education. Brother Liang, have some tea. I smiled as I placed the tea beside Liang Yujie. His name was actually changed by my father, who said that while his temperament was as gentle as jade, he possessed an unyielding spirit that wouldn't break even when crushed. I hope the influence of literature will soften his character, making him gentle both inside and out. Liang Yujie chuckled and teased, after all these years apart, the little rascal has grown into a big one, still quite the fighter. I see. There was an inexplicable hint of affection in his tone that made my ears burn when I heard it. I was a troublemaker growing up, being the only girl in the family. My parents gave me free rein. I spent my childhood playing with the rowdy kids in the compound, constantly getting into fights, and it was common for people to complain about me. I don't just hit people randomly. I stopped fighting after graduation. I'm a doctor now. I know my limits. I desperately tried to explain, afraid of leaving a bad impression on him. A smile reached Liang Yujie's eyes as he suddenly asked me, I heard from the teacher that you're transferring to the military hospital. I nodded, not quite understanding why he was asking, and blinked at him curiously. He explained, I'm stationed with a unit near there. If you ever need anything, just come find me. I came in a bit of a rush today and have a meeting to attend soon. Could you let the teacher know for me? Just say I've agreed. I paused for a moment, then asked in return, what did you agree to with my dad? He gave me a meaningful glance, then rose and approached me, at 6 feet 2 inches to my 5 feet 5 inches. Standing before him made me feel petite. His shadow enveloped me completely, creating an almost suffocating sense of being cradled against him. I instinctively took 2 steps back. He said with a smile, I'll take my leave now. Next time we meet, I'll catch up with Juju properly. He pushed the door open and left my house. I hurried after him to see him off, but when I saw him speaking with his guard, I didn't dare approach. I just waved, and he waved back at me. Suddenly, I had this strange feeling like I was my mom seeing my dad off, and the fact that he'd just used my childhood nickname made me so flustered that I turned around and went back inside. The guard whispered to Liang Yujie, "That girl's got quite the temper." Liang Yujie rubbed his fingers thoughtfully and said with sincerity, "A strong temper is good, it keeps you from being bullied. Let's go." The guard asked in confusion, "Major, didn't you come here to propose? Are you leaving without doing so?" Liang Yujie mused, "Isn't free love the trend these days? It's fine to date first and marry later." The guard paused for a moment, then quickly caught up with Liang Yujie. Someone was knocking at the door. Thinking it was Liang Yujie, I hurried out to answer. The moment I opened the door and saw who it was, my pupils contracted in surprise. The woman before me wasn't exceptionally beautiful, but she had an untainted elegance about her. She was none other than Chu Shinro, the one who reaped all the benefits in my past life. I crossed my arms and calmly watched Chu Shinro. In my past life, she wasn't this impatient. She must have noticed how differently I treated Bai Yan and realized she couldn't use him to get to me. Is that why she's rushing to confront me? Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. Chu Shinro confronted me directly. "Miss Leng, why did you reject Brother Bai's proposal? Is it because of me? I assure you, I'm just his sworn sister." "Please don't overthink it," I scoffed. "Miss, may I ask who you are? I have no connection with Bai Yan, much less with you. I suggest you watch your words." Chu Shinro's face flushed with embarrassment for a moment, a flicker of contempt flashing in her eyes. She stepped closer and said, "Miss Leng, don't you remember me? You saw me last time when you visited Brother Bai. I'm his sworn sister." Chu Shinro: "Oh, now I recall. Bai Yan did mention having a sworn sister, incompetent yet demanding good positions. Since he's quite influential, instead of wasting time with me, why not ask him to pull some strings? You clearly have feelings for him. Rather than watching him marry someone else, you should make your move. Once he's married, pursuing him would constitute sabotage of a military marriage, a serious offense. In my past life, the inheritance my parents left me was treated as the Bai family's private property. I will absolutely avenge my death in prison." At this thought, my gaze toward Chu Shinro turned icy cold. This woman puts on such a fragile act, as if everyone should protect her. It's the same at the hospital. She lets others handle the hard work but jumps at any benefit, all while being involved with several male colleagues inappropriately. Bai Yan had been away for years and didn't know her true character. Later, when he transferred to that military hospital, they ended up together. But it's also possible they're just a match made in hell. Maybe Bai Yan's into that kind of thing. I hope they stay together for life. They deserve each other. I can't afford to burn bridges with Chu Shinro just yet, so I swallowed my anger, turned around, and went inside, closing the door behind me. Chu Shinro gracefully returned home. Her eyes welled up the moment she saw Bai Yan still sitting in her house. "Brother Bai, it's all my fault. Not only did I fail to properly explain our relationship to Miss Leng, but I also made her think we're dating. Brother Bai, do you think she'll spread rumors? How will I ever show my face in public again?" Chu Shinro covered her face and burst into tears as she spoke, flustered by the situation. Bai Yan immediately rose to comfort Chu Shinro. "Don't be upset, Shinro. I doubt she's the type to gossip, but what if she does spread rumors? My reputation would be ruined. How could I ever marry then?" Seeing Chu Shinro still sobbing softly, how could Bai Yan not feel his heart ache for her? He immediately promised, "Shinro, don't worry, if your reputation suffers because of me, I'll take full responsibility." Chu Shinro finally stopped crying after getting his assurance and said pitifully, "Really, Brother Bai, you're not just saying that because you feel sorry for me, are you?" "How could I, Shinro, you're so kind-hearted. If I could marry you, it would be the greatest blessing of my life. Once you transfer jobs, I'll convince my parents and make you my wife." Chu Shinro lowered her head, her eyes filled with darkness. As expected, Bai Yan still cared about whether she had a good job. She always knew all men were the same. Then she had no choice but to find a way to get that job opportunity. Since I'm not willing to give up the job opportunity, she'll just have to force me to. When I got to work on Monday, I suddenly noticed my colleagues were giving me these scrutinizing looks. They were even talking behind my back. Just because they come from a privileged background, they even landed this great job through connections. Seriously, you don't think there's something shady going on? Whatever, guess it pays to be good looking. Some people just have that natural advantage of reeling others in. Who are you talking about? I grabbed the nurse who had just spoken and confronted her. The nurse looked embarrassed and said, I wasn't talking about you. Don't take everything so personally. That's right, Miss Lung. They're just gossiping without meaning any harm. Chu Shinro appeared out of nowhere, standing by my side and speaking up for the others while holding on to me. The young nurse immediately straightened up upon seeing Chu Shinro. Dr. Chu, you have to back us up. We were just talking about some scheming women. It's Miss Lung who's being overly sensitive. They keep calling me Miss over and over. I know exactly what they're implying, I replied with a sarcastic, insincere smile. This is a hospital. If you want to play the servant, take it outside. What nonsense are you spouting? Who said anything about wanting to be a servant? I stopped smiling and said coldly, then watch your language. This is a hospital. There are no young mistresses here. Please address me as Dr. Lung. What do you think, Dr. Chu? Chu Shinro looked embarrassed for a moment before forcing a smile. Dr. Lung is right. We're all colleagues and should support each other. I'm sure Dr. Lung won't dwell on a few harmless remarks, will you? Several nurses chimed in. Exactly, Dr. Chu is so magnanimous. If you ask us, the transfer opportunity should have gone to her. The director is clearly playing favorites. What future do ordinary people like us even have here? A flicker of triumph flashed in Chu Shinro's eyes. I knew this was her scheme all along, egging others on to fight me while she reaps the benefits. True heroes aren't judged by their origins. If you choose to wallow in your own failures, don't blame others for being exceptional. Some people will never amount to anything in life. I turned to leave after speaking, but Chu Shinro stopped me. Dr. Lung, do you dare to make a bet with me? Bet. My heart swelled with excitement. Chu Shinro was taking the bait. Chu Shinro continued, it's a bet on our medical skills, on patient satisfaction. If I prove to be better than you, you must give up this transfer opportunity. Better than me, Dr. Chu, your words are far more impressive than your skills. Lin Qiongzhu, what's with your attitude towards Shinro? Bai Yan suddenly appeared and pulled me aside. Afraid I might bully his dear sworn sister, Chu Shinro stepped closer, tugging at Bai Yan's sleeve and said pitifully, Brother Bai, it's my own incompetence. I deserve to be looked down upon. I curled my lip. This woman is such a phony. Lin Qiongzhu, I order you to apologize to Shinro. How dare you go this far? Just because I can't marry you doesn't mean you have to take it out on her. Me, is Bai Yan's ego getting a bit out of hand? Bai Yan, get your facts straight. It was your sworn sister who challenged me. I didn't start this. If anyone should apologize, it's her to me. Bai Yan froze for a moment, then turned to look at Chu Shinro. Tears of grievance welled up in Chu Shinro's eyes, her gaze appearing clear and pitiful. Bai Yan's heart softened. Brother Bai, I just want a fair chance to compete. I believe in my medical skills, and I hope you'll believe in me too. Bai Yan immediately sided with Chu Shinro, saying to me, Shinro's medical skills have always been superior to yours. You know better than anyone how you got to where you are. I was absolutely furious, so I grabbed Boyan and slapped him across the face when he least expected it. Was getting your face busted not enough? Were you asking for another slap? Did I give you too much respect? Or was I too lenient with both of you? If you have no shame, that's your problem. Don't come looking for attention here. After I hit Boyan, things instantly blew up. It all escalated and ended up in the dean's office. The director called me in first and scolded me. What's the point of picking fights with them? The better your medical skills are, the more humble you should be. If you've got energy to spare, you should be doing more surgeries instead. By the way, we have a VIP patient today. This operation can't afford any mistakes. You'll be handling this one. The director really admired my surgical skills, so he always assigned me the most critical operations. But suddenly, Chu Shinro burst into the room and confronted the director. Director, you're playing favorites. You keep giving all the opportunities to Dr. Lung. How are the rest of us supposed to grow as doctors? The director frowned. I sneered inwardly, using patients as practice for growth. How could Chu Shinro even say that with a straight face? Some patients only get one shot at survival. Opening them up is a life or death battle. There's no tie, only victory or defeat. Bai Yan entered the room too, seeing the condition of his face. The dean pressed his lips tightly and glared at me sternly, guiltily. I couldn't bring myself to meet the dean's eyes. Alright, since Dr. Chu is so confident, I'll give you this opportunity, but let me be clear, this patient is special. There must be absolutely no mistakes, or it could cost you your career. Chu Shinro didn't take the director's words to heart. Instead, she assured him, don't worry, director. My medical skills are far from amateur. 6. After leaving the director's office, Chu Shinro went to prepare for the surgery. Since I had no operations scheduled for the morning, I decided to review the patient's records the director had mentioned. Just then, Bai Yan stopped me in my tracks and said, "Feeling pleased with yourself now, are you? What am I happy about?" "Oh, if you mean I'm happy about hitting you, then yes, I did feel pretty good after that." "What, you want to offer yourself up for a couple more hits?" I looked at Bai Yan with a provocative glare. I was always a thorny rose in full bloom, but in my past life, my love for Bai Yan turned me into the delicate daughter vine he preferred. But in this life, I'll make sure he understands, roses have thorns, and not just anyone can lay a hand on them. Lin Qiongzhu, don't you dare think that just because I tolerated you once means I have any feelings for you. It's you who likes me. I never forced you into this, so you knew all along. That's why you trampled on my feelings and spread rumors about me. Bai Yan, you're truly beneath my respect. You don't deserve my affection. From today onward, I no longer care for you. You don't like me anymore. Bai Yan's expression turned cold and distant. I nodded. That's right, I don't like you anymore. There's someone else I'm interested in now. Bai Yan narrowed his cold eyes, but I paid him no mind and turned to head to the office. Just then, the hospital director rushed out, shouting, "Quick, Qiongzhu, Dr. Chu messed up, the patient is in critical condition, get ready for surgery immediately." I was stunned. How could Chu Shinro be so incompetent? The surgery had barely started, and she'd already made a mistake. Did she botch the incision or something? As the chief surgeon went to change into his scrubs, I shoved Boyan and sneered, "So this is what you call medical excellence? What are patients to you? Just chips in your gambling game, you disgraceful bastards." I didn't even bother to look at the shock on Boyan's face. I hurriedly changed into surgical gear with the chief and rushed to the operating room. At that moment, Chu Shinro stood outside the operating room drenched in blood, her entire body trembling uncontrollably. The nurses who had spoken up for her earlier were now standing by silently, too afraid to utter a word. The director and I spent 5 grueling hours in the operating theater, finally pulling the patient back from the brink of death and transferring them to the ICU. Exhausted after leaving the OR, I supported the utterly spent director, who could barely walk, to get some rest. Just then, Chu Shinro and Bai Yan approached and blocked the director's and my path. "Director, I truly didn't mean for this to happen, it was an accident." The director looked at Chu Shinro with profound disappointment and said, "Dr. Chu, in our profession, there is no room for accidents, ever. Any mishap is a violation of the sanctity of life. You are not cut out to be a doctor. I'm reassigning you to nursing duties. If the patient insists on holding you accountable, you'll have to face the consequences on your own, in the end." The director showed mercy by dealing with Chu Shinro preemptively, a move that ultimately saved her life. Had they waited for the patient to wake up, a simple demotion would have been the least of her worries. Bai Yan still wanted to protect Chu Shinro. He said earnestly, "Director, Shinro didn't do it on purpose. It must be that the nurses provided incomplete information, which led to her inaccurate judgment." "Yes, that's exactly it. The incomplete information is what clouded my judgment." As soon as Chu Shinro said those words, the nurses who had helped prepare the documents turned pale. I wasn't about to indulge either of them. I said bluntly, "As doctors, if you can't even identify where the problem lies, how dare you call yourselves doctors? Director, let's go. There's no point talking to these incompetents, we'll only end up frustrated." I helped the dean leave, leaving Bai Yan grinding his teeth in frustration. Chu Shinro asked Bai Yan tearfully, "Brother Bai, what should I do now?" I really didn't mean to. The dean always favors Dr. Lung, so I rarely get hands-on experience. That's why I made a mistake. Brother Bai, you have to believe me." Bai Yan comforted Chu Shinro, saying, "I believe you, don't worry, I'll help you figure this out." Chu Shinro hugged Bai Yan and said, "Thank you, Brother Bai." Several nurses were pointing and whispering about them, and Boyan pulled Chu Shinro aside. Chu Shinro clenched her fists. After this failure, she couldn't afford to wait any longer, otherwise, Boyan would definitely kick her to the curb. 7. After work, I was walking my bike and ran into Bai Yan on the road. Just as expected, he stood there in the wind, looking like he'd been waiting for a while. I pretended not to see him and started to ride off, but he grabbed the back of my bike and said, "Dr. Lung, let's talk." I replied impatiently, "There's nothing to discuss between us." Bai Yan replied, "I admit I underestimated your medical skills before, and I apologize, but I must say, Shinro isn't a bad person. this was truly an accident, so what? So, could you talk to the dean and take responsibility for this incident? I smiled. The night breeze was just right, and I believed my smile looked captivating, enough to leave Bai Yan utterly stunned, taking advantage of his dazed state. I reached out and slapped him hard across the face, staggering back 2 steps. He finally let go of my car. Are you sober now? Who do you think you are, telling me what to do? If you're so concerned about Chu Shinro, why don't you take responsibility yourself? Stay out of my way from now on, or I'll make you regret it every time I see you. Ugh, my palm stung from hitting him, but I felt much better afterward. I didn't notice Bai Yan's intense gaze fixed on my back in the darkness. From that moment on, his attitude toward me completely changed. By the time I realized it, I had already been transferred to the military hospital and run into him twice. I'd been here for a while now and am getting used to the new hospital. Running into Bai Yan once felt like a coincidence, but seeing him a second time was just unsettling. Dr. Lung, hello, I'm here for a consultation. I don't treat andrology cases. You'll need to see another department. I mocked Boyan for being unmanly, but he didn't get angry. He just said, Shinro will be joining us at work in a few days. I hope you two can get along well. Me, what the, seriously, is there something wrong with this guy's head? All my harsh words and slaps couldn't even begin to fill the void in his delusional mind. Bai Yan, you're actually quite capable, aren't you? Wishing you and Chu Shinro a lifetime of happiness and a baby soon. I couldn't be bothered to respond to him, but Bai Yan blocked my way and even tried to grab my arm, which made me step back in alarm. What are you doing? A gentleman uses his words, not his hands. Haven't you laid hands on me enough times? Me, I only hit you because you had it coming. Bai Yan pressed his lips together, his expression turning serious as he said, I only see Shinro as a sister. Lin Qiongzhu, I've realized I've fallen for you. I want to start over with you. Me, what the? I took a few steps back, looking at Boyan as if he were insane. Wait, did I slap some sense into him and turn him into a lovesick fool? Is he into this kind of thing? Heaven knows the truth, he likes me, but I don't feel the same. Boyan continued, don't worry about me liking Shinro, I only like you. My hair stood on end, and I turned around and walked away. Bai Yan shouted from behind, I'll come to your house to propose next time I'm on leave. Are you out of your mind? I don't like you. Even if you propose, I won't marry you. I have no idea what's gotten into Bai Yan, but no matter what, I won't have anything to do with him. If it has to come to something, I'd rather it be a fight to the death between us. As I stepped out of the hospital, someone called out to me, Zhu. I frowned. Not just anyone gets to call me by that nickname, but when I saw who it was, my irritation vanished. I smiled and said, Brother Liang, the teacher mentioned you were coming. I haven't had a chance to see you until now. Let's go, I'll treat you to a welcome dinner. The moment I saw Liang Yujie, my mind started calculating. During the meal, I asked Liang Yujie, Brother Liang, are you married? Liang Yujie paused while serving me food, placed my favorite spring roll in my bowl, and then said, no. Biting my lower lip, I mustered the courage and asked, then, would you marry me? Liang Yujie looked up, his eyes sparkling with amusement as he gazed at me, making my cheeks burn with embarrassment. Well, Bai Yan keeps pestering me, and I don't like him. I don't want to give him any chance to bother me. Then do you like me? Liang Yujie's tone was calm and composed as he asked the question. I froze, staring at Liang Yujie's strikingly handsome yet stern face, and the commanding presence that radiated authority without him even raising his voice. He's an exceptional man, of course I'd be drawn to him, in this lifetime. I refuse to live like a widow. Is it too much to ask for a high-quality man? I served Liang Yujie some food and whispered, I like you, that's why I want to marry you. Liang Yujie's grip on his chopsticks tightened slightly before he suddenly asked, did you bring your ID? What? I didn't quite catch that. Didn't you say you wanted to marry me? I happen to have time today, we could go get our marriage license. As for the wedding ceremony and betrothal gifts, I'll make time to arrange those properly later. What do you think? His grip on the chopsticks tightened, his knuckles turning white. I stroked my chin and said, sure, why not? 3 hours later, Liang Yujie and I each held a red booklet in our hands. Inside were our hastily taken wedding photos. Brother Liang, shouldn't we be using a different form of address now? So what do you want me to call you? Honey, Liang Yujie, the tips of his ears turned red, and his gaze held a profound depth as he looked at me. With a hint of laughter in his voice, he said, I've got a mission these next few days. How about I help you move once I'm back? I murmured in agreement, though I wasn't in any particular hurry to move in with Leon Yujie. Actually, I am quite eager. After all, I don't want to live like a widow in this lifetime. Looking at Leon Yujie's impressive physique, I felt a sudden rush of heat to my nose and nearly got a nosebleed. After Leon Yujie left on his mission, I returned to my daily routine. Lately, Bai Yan has surprisingly backed off and hasn't bothered me, which has put me at ease. 8. But lately, there have been some rumors circulating in the hospital about my personal life. They say I've been seducing military officers, and it's caused quite a stir among the patients. Many patients, especially the female ones, are reluctant to see me for treatment. Instead, they go to Chu Shinro, who's a nurse, for medical care. Chu Shinro's reputation has been growing steadily, with everyone praising her for both her beauty and kindness. Gradually, rumors started circulating that I was a beneficiary of nepotism, having transferred to this hospital by leveraging a man's influence. The hospital director was under significant pressure and spoke with me several times. It wasn't until I showed him my marriage certificate that he finally felt reassured. As I stepped out of the director's office holding my marriage certificate, I ran into Bai Yan. His eyes reddened as he stared at me, lips trembling. "You're married, to whom? What's it to you? Whoever I marry, it certainly won't be you." Bai Yan grabbed me forcefully, shouting angrily, "You can't marry anyone else, you were the one who started this, you can only marry me." I struggled with all my might, pushing against Bai Yan. "Have you lost your mind? I'd rather stay single forever than marry you. Bai Yan, you disgust me. Go marry Chu Shinro instead." Bai Yan's lips twitched as he spoke urgently. "You're jealous, aren't you? Don't worry, I have no romantic feelings for Shinro. It's you I like, Cheongju. Please listen to me, let's go get our marriage certificate. I promise I'll treat you well." "Alright." Furious, I reached out and yanked Bai Yan's ear, putting force into it. "No, absolutely not. Bai Yan, I don't love you. I have a husband. If you keep harassing me, I'll report you for interfering with a military marriage." My words struck Bai Yan like a blow, leaving him frozen in place. His eyes filled with disbelief. He snatched the marriage certificate from my hands, and as his eyes focused on the names, his pupils contracted sharply. "How could it be him? Are you two together already? He's on a mission. There's no way you could have been with him." I find Bai Yan absolutely disgusting. First, he said he didn't like me, and now he's meddling in who I'm with. This guy is the classic wanting to have his cake and eat it too. "Bai Yan, I've done nothing wrong to you. If you let Chu Shinro spread rumors about me again, I swear I won't let either of you off easy. When my husband gets back, I'm telling him everything." I snatched the marriage certificate from Boyan's hand and turned to leave without another word, completely oblivious to the bloodshot rage and predatory hunger in Boyan's eyes. "I won't let him come back, since you're married now. Being widowed should work just fine. I won't give you up to anyone." I thought I had made things clear with Boyan, and Chu Shinro had indeed settled down. Chu Shinro came to see me that day, begging for my help. "You must have plenty of tricks up your sleeve. Given your military background, you could ruin my reputation. Why not tarnish your own to get what you want? Wouldn't Bai Yan have to acknowledge you then?" Chu Shinro was taken aback, then fell silent. I knew she had taken it to heart. I want them to turn on each other. Sure enough, the next day, Boyan showed up in front of me looking completely disheveled. I was genuinely shocked. There were even suggestive marks on his neck. "It was you, wasn't it? You put her up to this. Do you think so little of my love?" He even had the nerve to question me. I retorted sarcastically, "Even if I sent Chu Shinro to you, you'd have to be willing, judging by your reaction. This isn't the first time, is it? Why play the chaste saint now?" Bai Yan's face turned ashen. He wanted to explain but found himself at a loss for words. Chu Shinro followed close behind, her neck bearing similar marks. Clinging to Bai Yan's arm, she shot me a look brimming with smug satisfaction. "Brother Bai, you must be exhausted from yesterday. Why did you run off? Come back with me, won't you?" Bai Yan shook off Chu Shinro's hand, and she burst into tears. "Brother Bai, are you trying to shirk responsibility? I gave you my innocence, you can't treat me like this." I was taken aback. Chu Shinro was actually still a virgin. It seems Bai Yan got the short end of the stick. When you're drunk, whether you're innocent or not is entirely up to Chu Shinro to decide. Bai Yan's face was as cold as ice, looking at Chu Shinro as if seeing her for the first time. "The only reason I touched you was because you drugged me, wasn't it?" Chu Shinro's face turned deathly pale. "I won't expose you. But don't expect me to take responsibility. It's Lin Cheongju I love, not you. What I feel for you is nothing more than brotherly affection." I rolled my eyes so hard. "Give me a break. What kind of siblings act like this? I said coldly. You two chat. I've got patients to attend to. The way they were carrying on like that, and showing up together, Chu Shinro clearly did her homework. Their reputations are pretty much ruined. I don't want any part of that mess. Cobain grabbed my arm and said, "You're not going anywhere. We need to talk this through." I found it almost laughable. There's nothing left to discuss between us. It's you and Chu Shinro who need to clear the air. But your affairs are none of my business. My icy demeanor drained Cobain of any will to stop me. He dragged Chu Shinro outside instead, saying, "Let's get this settled, brother Kobai. I might be carrying your child. How can you treat me like this because of another woman?" This reminded Bai Yen, who had someone find contraceptive pills and force them down Chu Shinro's throat. When we met again, Chu Shinro glared at me like a resentful wife. "Are you satisfied now? My reputation is ruined, and Bai Yen still won't marry me. You've had your revenge." I thought to myself, not enough, then find a way to get pregnant. Using a child to tie down a man, isn't that a good strategy? Chu Shinro hesitated for a moment, then gritted her teeth and left. After some time had passed, I began to feel restless. Liang Yujie had said he'd only be gone for a few days, but it had been quite a while, and there was still no word from him. I didn't want to pry into his affairs, but I couldn't help worrying that something might have happened to him. That evening, the hospital director called and asked me to take charge of a surgery. My vision went black the moment I saw the person lying on the bed. I nearly fainted. It was Liang Yujie lying there. There's no time to explain. Major Liang was ambushed and is hanging by a thread. The order from above is to pull him back from death's door at all costs. Dr. Lung, we need your cooperation. I nodded calmly, thinking to myself, I absolutely cannot let Liang Yujie die. After all the prayers I offered for Liang Yujie in my past life, did they all go to waste for someone as good as him? Why do good people suffer so much, while the wicked seem to sail through life unscathed? Steadying my hand with the scalpel, I vowed to save Liang Yujie's life. If fate refused to be just, then I would create justice myself. After 8 grueling hours of surgery, we finally pulled Liang Yujie back from the brink of death. As I stepped out of the operating room, my legs gave way, my vision went black, and I passed out. 9. When I opened my eyes, I saw Bai Yan's face. His expression was twisted, and the way he looked at me was even more terrifying. "You're awake." The tone was icy cold. "This is my home." Those 2 words sent chills down my spine. "Why am I at your place? Shouldn't I be in the hospital? I had someone bring you here. I can't stand you being with Liang Yujie, not even for a minute. He won't take you away from me. Xiongzhu, you're supposed to be my woman." He was looking at me with such a perverted gaze that it made me sick to my stomach. "Have you lost your mind? I'm married, it doesn't matter. Liang Yujie won't live through the night. By tomorrow you'll be a widow, and I'll be your husband. I won't hold it against you. I'm the one who's disgusted by you. You bastard. You're the one who went after Liang Yujie, aren't you? I hope you die a horrible death." Bai Yan curled the corner of his lips without any warmth. "Even if I die, I'll die together with you." His words terrified me. Why was Bai Yan suddenly so obsessed with me? He must be out of his mind. When I loved him, he didn't appreciate it. Now that I don't, what's with this self-pitying act? My body felt weak and limp. I stared at Bai Yan in panic as he calmly said, "I just gave you a mild sedative. Don't worry, I won't hurt you. Once Liang Yujie is gone and we're married, I'll set you free. Xiongzhu, please don't refuse me. You know I can't bear to hear you say no, right? What are you planning to do to brother Liang? He's a good man. Please don't hurt him." In that instant, I was overcome with the urge to take Bai Yan down with me. "Would you marry me if he weren't dead? Whether he's good or bad doesn't matter to me. If he stands between us, he has to die." Bai Yan had completely lost his mind. I replied meekly, "I'll divorce him and marry you, but I demand a proper wedding ceremony. You must make it clear to everyone that I was never the other woman in your relationship." Bai Yan's expression softened slightly, his eyes gazing at me with tenderness as he said, "Of course you're not the other woman. I know you're an exceptional girl. Don't worry, if you marry me, I'll make you the happiest woman alive." I looked up to meet Chu Shinro, who was coming through the door with a meal, and gave her a gentle smile. "I trust you, but what about Shinro? Should we treat her like a little sister?" Bai Yan glanced back at Chu Shinro, noticing her face had turned pale. He stood up and led her out of the room. I waited restlessly, unable to sit still. Bai Yan returned shortly, though there was a suspicious mark at the corner of his lips. It seemed calming Shinro down had taken quite some effort. "Shinro won't come between us. I'll treat her like a sister. You're the only one I love. noticing my distraction, he suddenly said, "Once Liang Yujie is dead, I'll take you to get married, Qiongzhu, you're mine, I won't stand by and watch another man have you." A chill ran down my spine. This man deserves to die, the sooner, the better. I didn't want to be at a disadvantage, so I tried to coax him gently, hoping he'd feel for me and stop giving me the medication. The next day, Bai Yan came back looking awful after a night of drinking. I learned from Chu Xinro that Liang Yujie had been transferred to another hospital. He was moved to a place inaccessible to ordinary people. Great, the director took my advice. Now we just have to wait for Liang Yujie to wake up. Bai Yan still had a shred of conscience and didn't force himself on me, but the way he looked at me grew increasingly brazen. I knew if I didn't save myself soon, I'd truly fall into his clutches. Even if I could get revenge later, it wouldn't be worth sacrificing myself in the process, so I actively flattered Bai Yan, letting him believe I was falling for him again. When he couldn't restrain himself, he still couldn't bring himself to touch me and would go find Chu Xinro instead. Nearly a month passed like this, and I discovered that Chu Xinro was pregnant. I provoked her with my words, convincing Chu Xinro to let me go. Chu Xinro agreed, but when I ran off late at night, Bai Yan noticed and chased after me. She tried to stop him, but he kicked her aside, clutching her stomach and screaming. She collapsed to the ground, bleeding heavily. I ran away without looking back, not feeling an ounce of pity for Chu Xinro. If I go back to save Chu Xinro, I'll never be able to escape again, and she'll turn against me for losing the child. Then I'm completely done for. Bai Yan chased me into the street, and I screamed for help. Suddenly, someone blocked my way. As soon as they got a clear look at me, they shouted, "Found them, grab Bai Yan, quick." Then I saw Liang Yujie. In an instant, all my grievances welled up in my heart, yet I was still worried about his severe injuries. He tried to hold me, but there were so many bandages that he couldn't find a way to embrace me. I held his hand and cried, "Why did it take you so long to come find me? I've been bullied to death. It's alright now, it's alright, it's all my fault. Nothing like this will ever happen again." Liang Yujie's voice was filled with tenderness and concern. I felt a bit embarrassed in front of so many people. Bai Yan glared fiercely at Liang Yujie and said, "You're still alive, you should be dead. Give Qiongzhu back to me, she belongs to me." Liang Yujie shielded me in his arms and said to Bai Yan, "Bai Yan, you leaked military secrets and harmed our comrades. You'll have to answer for your crimes in prison." Liang Yujie took me home. I later heard that Chu Xinro's miscarriage was discovered too late, leading to a hysterectomy. She barely survived. Upon learning that Bai Yan was sentenced to over 40 years in prison, she immediately claimed he had forced her, but no one believed her. As soon as she recovered, she started looking for her next partner. Her reputation at the hospital took a nosedive, and the only patients seeking her care were shady men. When Bai Yan's parents found out and made a scene at the hospital, everyone learned she'd gotten the job through connections. She lost her position, had a tarnished reputation, and had no choice but to slink back to her hometown in disgrace. Back home, when people found out she couldn't have children, her parents married her off as a second wife to a widower with kids. She spent the rest of her life being abused and berated by that older man. In her old age, with no one to care for her, she was cast out and left to live in a makeshift thatched hut. During a storm, the hut collapsed in the high winds, and she was crushed to death inside. It wasn't discovered until it had already gone bad. 2 years into my marriage with Liang Yujie, one evening after dinner, Liang Yujie kissed my eyes with passion, his gaze full of longing for me, and he pleaded, "Zhu, don't you think it's time we had a child?" I nudged his shoulder and said, "Enough already, we're an old married couple. Why are you so clingy, darling? I want to kiss you." Liang Yujie leaned in and kissed me as he spoke. Someone outside called out, reporting, "Master Liang, I have something to report to you." Liang Yujie pulled away from my neck and said with difficulty, "Wait for me to come back." I found him quite amusing. Liang Yujie genuinely likes me. He said he's found me adorable since I was a child, though he never had any ulterior motives back then. After I grew up, my parents felt my temperament made them uneasy about entrusting me to just anyone, so they wanted him to take me in. That time he came back was actually to meet me through a matchmaking arrangement. If I agreed, he would have proposed. Later, when he realized I only married him to use him as an escape from Bai Yan, he went along with it anyway, but gradually, he started wanting more. He wants me to love him. He knew that I confessed my suspicions of Bai Yan and Chu Xinro to the director in the operating room, and the director transferred Liang Yujie on my advice. He said I was his savior. He also said he had been looking for me ever since he woke up, but unfortunately, Bai Yan hid me too well, and they couldn't find me. That day, they followed Chu Shinro to find Bai Yan, which is how they ended up finding me. I gently touched my belly and smiled faintly. I was actually already pregnant. In this lifetime, I didn't end up alone, and I sent my enemies to a place worse than hell. Life is full of suffering, but let's see how they endure it all. As for me, I will live happily with my parents, Liang Yujie, and our children. 11. Bai Yan never really cared about Ling Qiongzhu. He thought she was too delicate and spoiled, while Chu Shinro was different. But gradually, Ling Qiongzhu stopped being gentle and accommodating toward him, even saying she didn't love him anymore, which made Bai Yan panic. Only then did he realize that Ling Qiongzhu already held his heart, yet she refused to turn back, no matter what. Bai Yan never intended anything with Chu Shinro. It was just that he mistook someone else that night, and it led to a grave mistake. The moment he woke up, he thought, it's over, but he was still greedy. Even if Ling Qiongzhu was unwilling, he wanted her whole heart, her undivided love. Later, he clearly saw Ling Qiongzhu's attitude toward Liang Yujie and realized she truly meant what she said. As expected, she had abandoned him. All that followed was Bai Yan's greed, hatred, and delusion, his own sins that dragged many others down with him. Unfortunately, the one he most wanted dead, Liang Yujie, survived. While in prison, he heard that Ling Qiongzhu had given birth to a son and been promoted to chief physician, earning widespread praise. On his deathbed during a critical illness, he wished to see Ling Qiongzhu one last time at the hospital. Sadly, all he caught was a glimpse of her back as she hurried off to perform surgery. It was just like that time they had missed each other in the past, yet he knew, this one miss would last a lifetime. Bai Yan finally breathed his last, dying with profound regret. End. Story 2. When the impoverished Shen Ming ordered me to give his little childhood sweetheart 30,000 yuan every month, otherwise he wouldn't accept my sponsorship, I knew he had also been reborn. In my previous life, I poured money and resources into making him the richest man in Asia. But he thought he was born to be a domineering CEO. He even condescendingly threatened me. I'm only giving you this one chance, miss it, and even if you kneel down and beg me, it won't work. I immediately stopped his card, bought him a bottle of sleeping pills, and let him be the richest man in his dreams every day. 1. During the big break, Gu Jingqing came to ask me for money, hugging his little childhood sweetheart. He slapped the note with the bank card number on the table and then ordered me, from now on, you transfer 30,000 yuan of living expenses to Wanner's account every month. Suddenly, the people around cast strange glances. They probably had never seen such an arrogant impoverished student asking someone for money without even a word of explanation. I was so angry that I laughed. Why should I? He turned around, with an expression of how dare you question me, and sneered, it's just 30,000 yuan. Do you still need a reason? 30,000 yuan can't even buy one of my ties. He raised his chin and was about to fasten his tie, but what he was wearing wasn't some high-end custom-made suit, but a sweatshirt bought online for 500 yuan. Gu Jingqing had been President Gu for too long in his previous life and had actually forgotten that he used to be an impoverished student with less money in his pocket than on his face. In my previous life, I spent money and resources to forcefully make him the richest man in Asia, but he thought he was born to be President Gu. He was used to bossing around his subordinates on weekdays and always spoke to me in a tone of notice and command, but without me, what was he? 30,000 yuan for a tie. Are you daydreaming, Gu Jingqing? Before I sponsored you, you couldn't even afford a 10 yuan boxed meal. I coldly laughed and crumpled the note into a ball, casually throwing it into the trash can. Also, why should I give her living expenses? I'm not her mother. Gu Jingqing's face turned livid. Just as he was about to get angry, Song Xiaowan, his little childhood sweetheart, blocked him protectively like a mother hen protecting her chicks. Su Ranran, how can you be so vicious? 30,000 yuan is nothing to you, but it's the living expenses for me and brother Gu for a month. Your family is so rich, helping us is only natural. Is it necessary to humiliate us like this? After saying that, she herself cried grievously, Brother Gu, even if my mother and I end up on the streets, I won't allow you to put down your dignity and beg her for my sake. Seeing the little childhood sweetheart who was bullied to tears by me, the vicious woman, Gu Jingqing was so that he quickly pulled her into his arms and comforted her softly. In the previous life, Song Xiaowan donated a kidney to him. He thought that was true love and also regarded me as a stumbling block on the road of their relationship, but in fact, I paid a high price for that kidney. Song Shawan raised the price at the last moment before the operation to extort me, which was why the two of them had a chance to meet again. Gu Jingqing embezzled public funds to buy her a villa, luxury cars, and pay off her mother's huge gambling debts. I endured it. I don't stop the reborn Gu Jingqing from rekindling his relationship with her, but he actually wants to continue spending my money to repay Song Shawan for the kindness of a kidney. Why? Do I look like a big fool? I was so angry that I laughed instead. I took out my phone to notify the school to withdraw the sponsorship for Gu Jingqing. Unexpectedly, he took the initiative to say, "Su Ran, if you don't give her the money, then I don't want your sponsorship either." What kind of threatening tone is this? It seems that his acceptance of my sponsorship is a charity to me, and he also wants me to be grateful. I was really blind in my previous life. How could I like a pretentious man like him who has no destiny of being a domineering CEO but is full of the domineering CEO disease? I found the remittance records I gave him in the past 2 years and endured the nausea. Gu Jingqing, if you're a man with a bit of backbone, return the money you spent of mine. I'll give you a discount. It's a total of 800,000 yuan, 800,000 yuan. I'll pay you back 8 million yuan in 10 years. Gu Jingqing sneered disdainfully and continued to threaten me. However, Su Ran, listen up, I'm only giving you this one chance. Miss it, and even if you kneel down and beg me, it won't work. I racked my brains but couldn't figure out where his honeydew confidence came from. Could he really think that after he topped the Forbes rich list in 10 years? He could just move his fingers and make my family go bankrupt? It's ridiculous. Does he really think he became the richest man by his own strength? Little does he know that it was all because of my family that he was promoted, provide raw materials, technical support, and connections to a dog, and the dog could also become the richest man. Not only does he not feel grateful, but he also fantasizes that I have to fawn over him like those sycophants. Looking at his sinister looking face as if he was saying, if you don't fawn over me, I'll make you look good in 10 years. I rolled my eyes big time. I found someone to freeze his sponsorship card and wrote an IOU of 800,000 yuan. Gu Jingqing stamped his handprint stubbornly and viciously threw down a harsh word at me. Don't you ever regret it? Then hugged his childhood sweetheart and turned around to leave. I regret it. I regret raising this white-eyed wolf in my previous life. And I'm even more afraid that he'll go back on his word and come to pester me again, too. After school, I called the driver to pick me up. Just as I opened the car door, I was pushed hard from behind. I stumbled. If it weren't for a kind-hearted passer-by who helped me, I would have fallen heavily to the ground. Holding back my anger, I fixed my eyes and saw that it was Gu Jingqing. He was pushing the tearful Song Shawan into the car, and then he got in himself. The moment he closed the car door, he didn't forget to order me. Wanner's mother was beaten into the hospital by the debt collectors. The situation is not good. You take a taxi back. Then he turned around and ordered the driver, drive, go to the hospital. The driver uncle looked at him like he was a fool, and without saying a word, took out his phone to call the police. Gu Jingqing angrily kicked the back of the passenger seat hard. Drive, if you delay Aunt Song's condition. You can't afford the consequences. The driver uncle calmly took pictures of his criminal evidence, then turned off the engine and got out of the car, directly locking the two of them in the car. 2 lunatics suddenly broke into the car, damaged the leather seats, and scared my young lady. I've controlled the two of them. Please, police comrades, come out immediately. I burst out laughing and folded my arms, watching Gu Jingqing show off his domineering CEO air in the car. Sure enough, without me, he was nothing. Song Shawan was crying anxiously in the car, which made Gu Jingqing extremely. He took a deep breath and turned to look at me, looking like a warrior sacrificing his dignity for love. Su Ran, I can accept your sponsorship, but don't fantasize that I'll like you. I don't want Brother Gu to sacrifice so much for me. Song Shawan pointed at my nose and cursed. Su Ran, you actually used such despicable means to force Brother Gu to be with you. Don't even think about it. I will never allow you to humiliate Brother Gu's dignity with money again. Stop talking, Wanner. For you, I'm willing to do anything. Me, does anyone care about my life? I just funded a poor student to repay society. What's wrong with me? Besides, I didn't like Gu Jingqing until 3 years later. Why do the two of them act like star-crossed lovers who have been separated? At this time, the police uncle came and directly invited the two of them out. Gu Jingqing's face was dark as he stared at me and asked, Su Ranran, what do you mean, using this way to attract my attention? You're so childish. I gestured towards my head to the police uncle and whispered, they're mentally ill, it's recommended to send them to the hospital directly. Then, I smiled and told Gu Jingqing, it doesn't mean anything. I just asked the police uncle to send you two to the hospital. The police uncle looked at them suspiciously, dressed shabbily but acting so arrogant and looking down on everyone. They really didn't seem normal. You two want to go to the hospital? Yes, the police uncle suddenly understood. Oh, then get in the car, I'll take you there. As for which hospital they were sent to, I have no idea. Just in the middle of the night when I woke up, seeing 56 missed calls and 99 plus WeChat messages from Gu Jingqing, I knew they didn't go to a proper hospital. Half an hour ago, the last text message Gu Jingqing sent me was, answer my call within 3 minutes, or else bear the consequences. He was having another bout of domineering CEO disease again. I yawned and directly turned off my phone to sleep. 3. The next day, during the school sports meeting, when I went to the cafeteria to carry water, I saw Gu Jingqing and Song Xiaowan having a meal. I heard that the two of them were locked up in the psychiatric department for a whole night, and finally the school came forward to bail them out. The monitor quietly came up to my ear and complained, I thought they were quite normal before, how did they suddenly get sick? Last night, Gu Jingqing called all the classmates in the class, saying that he was the future richest man. As long as they could gather 500 yuan to ransom him now, he would repay them 100 times in 10 years. This is even more overstep than the last time when the first emperor called to appoint me as a general in a telecom fraud. I sprayed out a mouthful of water directly, so there were more victims than I expected. Last night, my dad and all the managers in the company whose names I could remember received calls from Gu Jingqing. He said he had a cooperation project that was sure to make a fortune, as long as they could get him out of the psychiatric department. My dad was so scared that he held an emergency meeting with Panda Eyes in the morning, speculating whether a hacker had leaked the company's secrets. Otherwise, how could a lunatic call their internal phone numbers? This really can't be blamed on Gu Jingqing. He was an orphan since he was a child and had no relatives to rely on. He finally had a little childhood sweetheart, but her mother was a gambling addict. The two of them had no money at all, so of course they had to target the people around me. This life, I don't want to have any more dealings with them. I wanted to leave, but the monitor excitedly pulled me back, motioning for me to continue watching the show. Gu Jingqing was having another bout of illness again. He held a glass of orange juice in his hand and kept shaking it like he was shaking red wine, looking at the 15 yuan steak in front of him. A sarcastic arc appeared at the corner of his mouth. This kind of trash also dares to be called food. Throw it on the ground, and even a dog won't eat it. Brother Gu, I know you look down on this kind of cheap stuff, but you've been hungry for a day, you should at least eat something. Gu Jingqing snorted coldly, even if I starve to death, this kind of trash doesn't deserve to enter my stomach. The cafeteria owner who was frying the steak had a hot temper. He chopped a knife on the chopping block. You two used a coupon to order the cheapest steak here. It's okay to ask me to give an extra serving of spaghetti, but you're still being picky. Eat if you can, and get out if you can't. What kind of status do you have to talk to me like this? Believe it or not, I can make your store close down with just one phone call. Song Xiaowan anxiously tried to persuade him. Brother Gu, don't be like this. Their small business is not easy either. The monitor, who had been watching the show the whole time, pinched his thigh hard, but still couldn't help laughing. This laugh didn't matter, and it successfully attracted Gu Jingqing's attention. The moment he looked at me, the hairs on his arms suddenly stood up. I didn't even have time to carry the mineral water. I turned around and ran, but unfortunately, I still didn't escape. I was blocked at the end of the corridor by Gu Jingqing, who was red-eyed and with his hands on his hips. Su Ranran, you can't afford the price of angering me. I looked up at the sky speechlessly. What kind of sin had I committed to suffer this inhumane torture? What, are you jealous when you see me with Wanner? You came up with this way to take revenge on me. Su Ranran, this is all you're capable of. However, I advise you to save it and put away those little tricks to seduce me. I've already made a private engagement with Wanner. It's absolutely impossible for me to be with you. Stay away from us too in the future. If I find out that you have any improper thoughts again, I won't let you go. I tried hard to recall how I fell in love with Gu Jingqing in my previous life. At that time, he wasn't the key person my family was cultivating. There were many people who were more outstanding and promising than him, but I just thought Gu Jingqing was different and extraordinary. Now I find that he's really not a normal person. I interrupted his confident speech and mercilessly exposed him. You're really smart to use this way to skip the bill. Don't think I didn't notice that Gu Jingqing secretly stuffed several pieces of beef into his mouth. He staged such a big show because he didn't have the money to pay for the meal and didn't want to lose face. The cafeteria has a rule that poor students can wash dishes to offset the meal cost, but how could Gu Jingqing, who had been the richest man for a lifetime, lower his face to wash dishes in the back kitchen? Of course, he would push it all to Song Shaowan to do, and I was just the best tool person for him to skip the bill. Gu Jingqing, whose thoughts were exposed by me, became angry from embarrassment and punched the wall behind me. I kindly reminded him, there are surveillance cameras here. Dare to touch a single hair of mine, and the money you owe me will double, in 10 years. Don't talk about 10 years. You won't even last 10 days before you starve to death. My naked sarcasm completely hurt Gu Jingqing's sensitive and fragile self-esteem. He let go of me and, in extreme anger, laughed instead. Then let's wait and see. 4. The school sports meeting was undoubtedly the best opportunity for Gu Jingqing to turn things around. On this day, the school would invite business tycoons to visit. Every poor student would actively participate in the competitions. If they performed well, they would be selected to get the opportunity to be sponsored. Gu Jingqing was the long-distance running champion every year, and his academic performance was always in the top 3 in the school. Soon, he attracted the attention of a real estate tycoon. The head teacher immediately pulled Gu Jingqing over and praised him to the skies. Mr. Li, this classmate Gu is a top-notch student who can definitely get into Tsinghua University. Sponsoring him is definitely the right choice. In the previous life, Gu Jingqing did get into Tsinghua University, but he wasn't a good student, but a disaster, the kind that whoever gets involved with him will have bad luck. Mr. Li nodded in satisfaction. Not bad. From now on, our company will sponsor you 5,000 yuan per month until you graduate from university. 5,000 yuan. Gu Jingqing's face immediately fell. Are you humiliating me with 5,000 yuan, classmate? 5,000 yuan is not a small amount. It's enough for your daily expenses at school. He looked down his nose and sneered sarcastically. The real estate industry is in decline and doesn't have much room for development in the future. I reluctantly accept your sponsorship, but you only give me 5,000 yuan. How can I form a team and do research in the future? I'm different from those poor students who just muddle along and stretch out their hands for money. In the future, I'm going to lead the team to the top of international technology. If you can't afford to sponsor me, then make way for others. After saying that, regardless of Mr. Li's face turning purplish with anger, he turned around and left. The head teacher was furious and called out to him, Gu Jingqing. He turned around, with his hands in his pockets. In the future, don't recommend companies in sunset industries like this to me. The people who sponsor me should at least have a net worth higher than Su Ranran's parents. I will review their qualifications one by one. Those who don't meet the standards have no right to sponsor me. His words made Mr. Li extremely angry. No matter how the principal and the head teacher apologized, he firmly refused to sponsor the poor students in our school anymore. This also directly implicated 2 other innocent classmates. The twin sisters who had grown up with their grandparents since childhood were so excited that they cried when they heard that a company was willing to sponsor them to go to college. But because of Gu Jingqing's actions, the opportunity was gone, and the 2 sisters squatted on the ground crying bitterly. I couldn't stand it anymore and stepped forward to comfort them. It doesn't matter. Su's group is willing to sponsor you. Really? Is 10,000 yuan per person per month enough? No. No, that's too much. 2,000 yuan for the 2 of us per month is enough. The 2 sisters knelt on the ground and kowtowed to me. Thank you, my sister, and I will definitely repay your great kindness after we graduate from college. Look, there are still grateful people in the world. After the school sports meeting, the class held a dinner party. As 2 penniless parasites, it was no surprise that they came to freeload. Gu Jingqing didn't pay a single cent but sat in the main seat. Being picky about everything, the decoration was bad, the service was bad, and the dishes were bad. He might as well have written the word disdain on his face. The head teacher and the classmates were almost annoyed to death by them. During the day, Gu Jingqing not only angered an investor but also made our class lose 2 medals that we should have won. The reason was that Song Xiaowan fell while doing the long jump and scraped her knee. Gu Jingqing, who was still participating in the relay long-distance race, suddenly threw away the relay baton, picked up Song Xiaowan, and rushed into the infirmary. He even threatened the school doctor, "If you can't cure her, I'll hold you accountable." Seeing that we all ignored him, Gu Jingqing, who was used to being the center of attention, couldn't sit still. He poured the beer he had taken a sip of directly into the grilled fish plate in front of him. Then tapped his fingers on the table and coldly asked, "Who chose this place? The taste is so bad." Gu Jingqing knew very well that this restaurant was owned by my family and was deliberately trying to make things difficult for me. The monitor couldn't stand it anymore and retorted, "Classmate Gu, we all think this place is very good. Do you have any dissatisfaction?" "Good," Gu Jingqing sneered. "Have you ever seen a really good restaurant? It's a pity that you'll never get to see it in your life." Song Xiaowan also chimed in, "Some people are just born with a poor and shabby fate. Brother Gu, don't argue with them, they'll never be able to catch up with you in their lives." One was bragging hard, and the other was flattering hard. The two of them were really a match made in heaven. I held down the monitor's hand, which was shaking with anger, and smiled. The future richest man surely doesn't need us poor people to chip in for the meal, right? Then, I'll trouble the richest man to pay the bill for today's class dinner. I put the bill in front of him, and Gu Jingqing took a look but didn't say anything. I immediately exclaimed, 3,000 yuan is nothing to classmate Gu, right? Not to mention 3,000 yuan, Gu Jingqing couldn't even find 30 yuan on him. He knew I was deliberately belittling him. But for the sake of his richest man face, he took the bill and went out, dragging Song Xiaowan beside him. When they came back, the heirloom jade pendant around Song Xiaowan's neck was gone. She glared at me viciously, as if I was the one who had sold her heirloom to show off. Just then, a group of uninvited guests burst into the party. 5. Without saying a word, they grabbed Song Xiaowan and dragged her out. Judging from their appearance and attire, they looked like hooligans. And they were swearing foully, "Your mother owes us usury. If you don't pay it back today, don't blame us brothers for being rude. That's what my mother owes you. Go find her. I'm just a student. I don't have any money." Song Xiaowan's face turned pale with fright, and she tightly grabbed the table corner, refusing to let go. After all, they were classmates. Several boys in the class wanted to save her, but they were forced back by the hooligans brandishing knives. The leader of the hooligans waved Song Xiaowan's student ID in front of her and said that her mother had escaped from the hospital that morning. Before leaving, she left a letter saying that the daughter should pay off the mother's debt and that she was giving Song Xiaowan to them to pay off the debt. I suddenly remembered that in the previous life, Song Xiaowan sold her kidney and even blackmailed me. Presumably, she was also forced by her mother. However, a poor person must have something hateful about them. She should never have killed me in order to cling to Gu Jingqing, this big tree. Just as Song Xiaowan was being forcibly dragged away, she suddenly shouted, "I have money, I have money. My boyfriend is the future richest man. He promised me that he would definitely pay off the debt for me." Future richest man. Seeing that the hooligans didn't believe it, she quickly assured them, "Really, my boyfriend will be very rich in the future. This little gambling debt is nothing to him. Look, he's here." Everyone followed Song Xiaowan's gaze. There was only a poor student in shabby clothes, whose whole outfit was worth less than 2,000 yuan, coming out of the bathroom. He even boasted, "Her mother only owes you more than 1 million yuan, I'll pay it back for her." Then he turned around and borrowed a pen and paper from the waiter and skillfully wrote down his name, just like signing a check in the previous life. "In 10 years. I'll pay you back 10 times the principal and interest." The hooligans laughed angrily and directly tore the IOU into pieces and threw them in Gu Jingqing's face. "Tsk tsk tsk. I felt embarrassed for him at this scene. Seeing that the hooligans didn't appreciate it, Gu Jingqing singled me out from the onlookers. "Su Ran, pay off this money for her, and I'll consider being your boyfriend." "Me, I can let you have my person, but my heart will always belong to Wanner." "Brother Gu, don't." Gu Jingqing closed his eyes, as if determined to sacrifice himself, and grabbed my shoulders, about to force a kiss. I instinctively slapped him, endured the nausea, and cursed, "Are you crazy? When did I say I liked you?" Gu Jingqing turned his head, poked his swollen left cheek with his tongue, and sneered, "Pretend all you want. In the previous life, you were crazy about me. Please, when you were reborn, bring some brains with you." "Okay, in the previous life, I did like you, but that was also 3 years later. Now, I don't know you well, don't come looking for a beating. Sure enough, you also have memories of the previous life. Gu Jingqing wasn't the least bit surprised. After all, the three of us died together in the previous life. Since both he and Song Xiaowan were reborn, there was no reason for me to be an exception. That's great. No need for me to prove anything. If you obediently take out the money, in 10 years, I'll ensure the safety of your family. Otherwise, you know what the consequences of angering me are. Gu Jingqing had always been vengeful. The first thing he did after becoming the richest man was to get rid of those who had bullied him. But don't forget, without me, you can't become the richest man in this life. Oh, really? 6. I rolled my eyes helplessly, afraid of getting into trouble. I turned around and quickly fled the scene. Gu Jingqing was still chasing after me. Threatening, Su Ranran. I promise you will pay a heavy price for your wrong decision today. Later, I heard the story of what happened after I left that day from the monitor. In order to get away, Gu Jingqing told the debt collectors that he had a connection with their boss. In the previous life, their boss had fawned over him to make money, but unfortunately, he didn't take a fancy to him. In this life, as long as they showed him some face and wiped out the debt, in 10 years, he would surely lead them to do business and make a fortune. As a result, they thought he was crazy and directly beat him up. If the monitor hadn't secretly called the police, the two of them would have been thrown into the Huangpu River to feed the fish. The monitor directed the classmates to move Gu Jingqing and Song Xiaowan's desks out. He said, these two dropped out of school. They said they were going to start a business and make a fortune. I knew about this a few days ago. Gu Jingqing sent me a WeChat message to provoke me, saying that he would soon make me lose everything and asking me if I regretted it in the previous life. If you hadn't brought people to catch us cheating and had turned a blind eye to Wanner's existence, maybe you could have always been the richest man's wife. It's a pity that you just couldn't tolerate her. I replied to him, who do you think you are? You still want to keep a mistress outside. Do you deserve it? Now it seems that Wanner is indeed more suitable to be the richest man's wife than you. Get lost, you gigolo. In the previous life, I knew that Gu Jingqing secretly embezzled public funds to buy a luxury house and cars for Song Xiaowan and that the two of them plotted to kill me. I endured it to find the evidence to make him leave the house penniless. After I firmly held the real power, I went to expose the true features of this adulterous couple. At that time, Song Xiaowan was already 6 months pregnant and was racking her brains to force me out. Seeing me come to catch them cheating, she was still looking smug. But when the lawyer announced that Gu Jingqing wouldn't get a single cent, Song Xiaowan couldn't sit still. She secretly turned on the gas in the kitchen and, taking me by surprise, pushed me in, trying to silence me. At the moment before the gas explosion, I dragged the two of them in with me, one in each hand. With their 3 lives as my companions in death, no matter how you calculate it, I didn't lose. In this life, I didn't want to have any more dealings with them. But since Gu Jingqing insisted on tearing his face off with me, there was nothing I could do. 3 days later, I went to the business incubation base with my father and saw Gu Jingqing. He dropped out of school and settled here, wanting to replicate the path to success in the previous life. But how could it be that easy? Which company would trust a high school dropout? In the previous life, he had a Tsinghua University degree and my recommendation. He could stand on the podium and tell those busy CEOs his ideas. But in this life, he didn't even have the qualification to enter the door. He even sneaked in by bribing the security guard. Gu Jingqing was extremely proud when he saw me and deliberately hid his business plan behind his back. I won't cooperate with Su's group, no matter who I cooperate with. Su Ranran, give up. Is it possible that I'm here to invest in someone else? I'm not interested in him at all. 7. In fact, in the previous life, my father valued my senior, Su Yi, the most. He was also a top-notch graduate from Tsinghua University. He was low-key, reliable in handling things, and much more mature in thinking than Gu Jingqing. My father intended to match us up and cultivate him to be the successor. Unfortunately, in the previous life, the person I liked wasn't him. Sui could only reluctantly become the vice president of the group. It can be said that Gu Jingqing was only the richest man in name, while the real person in power of the group was Sui. Because of me, he had been wronged for too long. In this life, I will return the glory that belongs to him. After just half an hour of his speech, my father decided to invest in him. After the event, Sui specifically found me to thank me. I heard that it was your strong recommendation that convinced Chairman Su to come and listen to my speech in person. Thank you. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid I wouldn't have had such a good opportunity. I waved my hand in shame. Actually, I didn't do much. It's just that you're excellent yourself, in the previous life, in order to help Gu Jingqing. I took away this opportunity for Sui to shine. It made him waste several years in an ordinary position. Fortunately, he was hard-working and enterprising enough to seize another opportunity. Otherwise, I would have been guilty. This time, I returned the opportunity to him, and Sui quickly made great progress in his career and became my father's right-hand man. I also successfully got into Tsinghua University and entered Suyi's research team. Later, Song Shaowan specifically came to the school to find me and showed off in front of me. Brother Gu has already secured investment. Although 5 million yuan is a bit less, this is just the first step for him to become the richest man. I believe that in less than 10 years, he will return to his original position. Then she looked at me contemptuously and said, "You were the richest man's wife for so long. In this life, it's my turn to enjoy the blessings. Don't worry. This blessing is all yours." Before Gu Jingqing could show off in front of me in person, bad news came. Gu Jingqing was cheated. They just gave him a little sweetener, and then they cheated him out of everything. His patent was bought for 1 yuan, his core business ideas were plagiarized, and even the original website he finally set up was attacked and gone. After several consecutive business failures, Gu Jingqing couldn't sit still. He came to the school to block me. "Su Ranran, was it you who did this? Are you afraid that I'll succeed in my business and that I'll take revenge on you?" I blinked, looking innocent. Senior Sui stood in front of me and kindly reminded him, "Are you classmate Gu? I've heard about you. Your business ideas and concepts are correct, but the world is full of dangers. You should be more careful in the future." "Is it your turn to speak, Sui? In the previous life, you were just a dog working for me. Who are you pretending to be? Get out of the way." Gu Jingqing always thought that becoming the richest man was all his own credit and had nothing to do with me or Sui, but he was wrong. Without the two of us, the position of the richest man would never have fallen to him. Sui grabbed his hand forcefully, not allowing him to get close to me. Under the gold-rimmed glasses, Suyi's dark eyes were filled with cold, sharp glints. "Come to trouble Ranran again. And don't blame me for being rude to you." Then he personally escorted him out of the school. 8. In the previous life, with my protection, Gu Jingqing's business path was too smooth. It made him forget how cold and dark the world was. Even though he had memories of the previous life and a vision for future emerging industries, it wasn't easy for him to succeed in starting a business. Well, he was cheated again, driven by eagerness for quick success and greed for profit. Gu Jingqing successfully fell into a fraud group. The monitor noticed something was wrong and kindly called the police for him. 3 months later, Gu Jingqing was bailed out. That day, the police called me and asked me to cooperate with them in the investigation. The police uncle asked me what messages Gu Jingqing had sent me in the past few months. I honestly opened the chat records for them to see. "Su Ranran, for the sake of our past feelings, as long as you transfer 500,000 yuan to me, I'll forgive you without holding a grudge. Su Ranran. I'm only 300,000 yuan short of a successful business start-up. I promise I won't take revenge on you when I become the richest man. Su Ranran, transfer 100,000 yuan to me, and I'll immediately make you the vice president. Su Ranran, transfer 50,000 yuan to me." The police uncle was trying very hard not to laugh. I also felt very speechless. Just as I was about to leave, the police told me that Gu Jingqing was involved in fraud and might go to jail, and he wanted to see me. I didn't want to go, but the police persuaded me that Gu Jingqing was very stubborn. Only if I went would he truthfully report all the facts, to save more people who were deceived by telecom fraud. I went. Gu Jingqing no longer had his former arrogance and high profile. He just sat silently on the chair, his hands handcuffed. When he saw me, it took him a long time to calm down his emotions. He said, "Ranran, I'm sorry." I asked him questions as the police asked. "When you first entered the fraud group, didn't you notice anything wrong?" He smiled bitterly. "From the first day I entered, I knew there was something wrong with this place, but I didn't want to admit that the once richest man had actually fallen to such a state. Ranran, now I finally realize that I'm a useless person who can do nothing. Without you, I'm nothing. But I also have my self-esteem." I didn't want to admit it. And I was even more afraid that if I admitted it, I would really never be able to stand up again. I tried my best to prove myself and make achievements to show you, but it turned out that I'm really a waste. Ranran, actually, I early realized that the person I love is you. But in the previous life, no matter how high I climbed, you never admired me. It seemed that everything was within your plan. I'm a man, I need to be admired by a woman. Song Xiaowan is better at being a woman than you. She likes me and holds me up high. I really enjoyed the way she looked up to me, that's all. On that day, when you brought people to break into the house where Song Xiaowan and I were, my first reaction was to save you. As long as you forgave me and pretended that nothing had happened, we could still live a happy life. But you just wanted to divorce me and make me leave the house penniless. That gas explosion was Song Xiaowan's own will. I never wanted to hurt you, never. After realizing that I was reborn, I didn't deliberately get so close to Song Xiaowan, it's just, I was angry with you. After all, if you really loved me, you wouldn't have dragged me to death at the last moment. I picked my ears and asked him if he had finished. If so, I was leaving. Senior Sui had a new project that was short of people, and I couldn't stay outside for too long, especially not waste time listening to others talk nonsense. At this time, Song Xiaowan suddenly appeared from nowhere. She pushed me away forcefully, and with tears all over her face, she roared at Gu Jingqing, "You actually lied to me. I'm your savior in the previous life. Without my kidney, you would have died long ago. You promised to be with me for a lifetime and make a fortune to pay off my mother's gambling debts, but you took the real estate certificate left to me by my father and disappeared. Where's the money? Give me back the money, you liar." "Savior, I paid for that kidney. You were going to sell it to someone anyway. It just so happened that you sold it to me. In the previous life, I bought you luxury houses, luxury cars, and took you traveling. You weren't satisfied, you even wanted to be the richest man's wife. You killed Ran Ran and me. In this life, you made me drop out of school early. If it weren't for you egging me on, I wouldn't have entered this fraud company at all. Now that I'm going to jail, you won't have a good time either. Police, police, I want to report that this vicious woman, Song Xiaowan, is also a member of the fraud group. She sent me in." "Shut up, you gigolo. After flattering you a few times, you really think you're the richest man, looking at your pretentious appearance of acting rich when you're broke. I'm so disgusted that I want to vomit. I warn you. If you don't return the real estate certificate and the heirloom jade pendant to me, I'll make sure you stay in jail forever." "Police, I want to report, the amount of Gu Jingqing's crimes is more than that. I hadn't had enough of watching this dog-eat-dog show when Song Xiaowan rushed out to report to the police, for fear that if she was a second late, Gu Jingqing wouldn't be able to sit through the prison term." Gu Jingqing looked at me eagerly and begged me, "Ran Ran, for the sake of our past life as husband and wife, can you help me? I know that as long as you take action, I can spend a few years less in prison. Do you know how many families will be torn apart by telecom fraud?" "Gu Jingqing, you deserve all of this. Go and receive reform in prison." 9. Gu Jingqing's judgment was handed down, and he was sentenced to 3 years in prison. Since that day, Song Xiaowan had disappeared. It was said that one day, she went to the police in a battered state to report that her gambling-addicted mother had sold her to a rich old man with special hobbies as a pet. She couldn't take it anymore and begged the police to save her. At first, the police would go out to check, but the old man took out their marriage certificate and the testimony of Song Xiaowan's mother in court. In the end, it was determined as a family conflict and the case was closed. Later, there was no news of Song Xiaowan anymore. The day Gu Jingqing was released from prison happened to be our class reunion. He came, but he didn't show up. He just stood in the distance, took a look at me, and then turned around and fled. After 3 years in prison, he no longer had the look of his former self. He was emaciated, with sunken eyes. He was wearing a washed-out sweatshirt and wrapped his whole head in a hat. When a passer-by walked by, he would subconsciously step aside. I saw him through the window. He was staring fixedly at Sui beside me. His eyes were filled with envy, jealousy, and unwillingness, because at this time, Sui had already become the richest man in Asia. In the previous life, it took Gu Jingqing 10 years to reach the position of the richest man, while Sui only took 3 short years. Although he had the help of my family, he was also hard-working and enterprising. My father had intended to match us up, but I really only regarded him as a brother. Sui didn't force me. Instead, he respected my wishes and doted on me. The twin sisters I had sponsored in the past had also become my most powerful assistants. Although they graduated from an ordinary second-tier university, they were diligent, studious, and grateful. They not only brought the grandparents who had raised them to live in the city but also refused offers from major famous enterprises for my sake. I believe that one day, With their help, I will build my own business empire step by step. Story 2. After passing away naturally, I was reborn during my college years. When I saw Chinji, I habitually clung to him and went in for a kiss, saying, "Good morning, honey." Only when I noticed his body suddenly stiffening did I wake up to the situation. Oh no. At this time, Chinji and I were still sworn enemies, real sworn enemies, the kind who each to the other disappeared from the world. 01. Chinji and I have known each other since we were 6 years old. But it wasn't until we were 36 that we got together. We had been through 50 years of ups and downs, well, not fighting all the time, but rather a long life together. When I finally closed my eyes, I was very serene, without pain or regret, so I couldn't figure it out. How come when I opened my eyes again, I was back in my college years? Was the rebirth script given to the wrong person? I didn't have anyone to take revenge on either. However, at the moment, I really didn't have time to think about this problem. Chinji was standing aside, arms folded, looking at me with an air of superiority. "Have you gone mute?" He was urging me to give a reasonable explanation for my absurd behavior just now. 5 minutes ago, I woke up groggily. Seeing Chinji, I subconsciously reached out and hugged his waist, rubbed my face against his neck, and playfully asked for a kiss. He was so shocked that his whole body froze. It took him a long time to suddenly push me away. How could I explain that this was actually a conditioned reflex formed by decades of daily habits? There was no way to explain it at all. If I really told him that we had been together for most of our lives and did this every morning, he would definitely make a big fuss and send me to a mental hospital. After all, everyone in University A knew that Chinji and Yuzhan were irreconcilable and at odds with each other. I scratched my head and casually made an excuse. "I had a wet dream." He sneered. "You had a wet dream and called out honey." "Oh, I did call out honey when I was asking for a kiss just now." Seeing that I didn't say anything, the mocking look at the corners of his mouth grew deeper. "Yuzhan, I never thought you actually like men, and you're so slutty that you even moan in your dreams. If you're so horny, why don't you stick a rolling pin up your ass?" Such ugly words. My blood pressure was skyrocketing. Subconsciously, I reached into my pocket, but found it empty. Then I remembered that I was only in my early 20s now and didn't need to take blood pressure lowering medicine. Shut up, why should I?" He laughed again. "I'm going to shout it out loud, let the whole school know, and see how you can still be so confident." I was stunned for a moment and then remembered, at this time, Chinji and I were competing for the top grade scholarship. I won an award in a national level competition, got extra credits, and left Chinji far behind. I couldn't help but show off to him that I was sure to win this time. Homosexuality was still too advanced in this era. If it really got out, it might turn into a problem of moral conduct, and it wasn't impossible for the scholarship awarding qualifications to be cancelled. I was so annoyed. It wasn't that I cared about the scholarship, but Chinji's attitude at the moment. He was being sarcastic and aggressive. I knew very well that our relationship wasn't good at present, and he didn't have the ability to predict the future and didn't know how much he would love me in the future. He wasn't wrong. But being said like that by my loved one, I was still a little sad. "Go ahead and shout." I nodded sullenly and shrank back into the quilt. I'm going to continue dreaming. The Chinji in my dream is still waiting for me. Wait a minute. Chinji's eyes widened, and he grabbed my shoulder and pulled me out of the quilt. Who the hell was the object of your wet dream? 02. After hearing the answer, "It's you," his face turned as ugly as if he had eaten shit, and he fled back to his dormitory in a hurry. I took a nap, but unfortunately, I didn't dream. When I woke up, it was already dark. My roommate turned on the light. The incandescent light bulb was hanging under the wire, swaying, casting a room full of light and shadow. I was still here. I thought I would wake up in the coffin. However, in the original timeline, I should have already turned into a handful of ashes, mixed with Chinji's, sealed under the concrete slab. We didn't adopt a child or keep a pet, so naturally, no one would come to pay respects. I was lost in thought when my roommate reminded me, "Aren't you going to wash up?" "The bathhouse is about to close," I responded and slowly got up, picked up my wash basin and towel, and shuffled towards the bathhouse in my slippers. I still hadn't gotten used to this young body mentally, so I walked very slowly. When I reached the door, billowing steam and heat rushed towards me. I saw Chinji at a glance. His curtain was only half drawn, and he was rinsing the soap suds off his body, under the dim yellow light. His extremely impactful muscle lines softened a lot. But it still set off fireworks in my mind. I could feel my heart suddenly pounding, and the hot blood rushed to all my limbs. My whole body seemed to be activated. When we were 36 years old, Chinji and I had each climbed to the leadership positions of 2 internet companies. The competition index between the two of us changed from academic performance ranking to the company's market value and annual profit. At a business banquet, we both accidentally drank tainted wine and were locked together by chance. The person who drugged us originally intended to target someone else. They probably didn't expect that 2 people in their 30s, like primary school students, would inexplicably compete and drink up all the wine on the tray. That night, Chinji and I fought fiercely over who would be on top. Later, I ran out of strength and was overpowered by him until dawn. Afterwards, I stammered to save face. "Your skills are so bad, compensate me with 2 projects, and this matter will be over." Chinji rarely didn't retort. He silently stubbed out his cigarette and came over to help me put on my pants. A week later, he blocked me downstairs of my company. "I'll compensate you with the projects, but I don't want this to be over. Now that I think about it, our beginning could be considered as being addicted to each other and unable to stop. Unfortunately, we didn't have a few good years together before we entered the middle-aged stage where we had the desire but not the strength. When I came to my senses, I was already standing behind Chinji. As if sensing something, he turned his head, and his pupils suddenly shrank. "Fuck, what are you doing?" I ignored his panic and anger, and my eyes moved down inch by inch, landing on his narrow waist. I wanted to touch it. I had never touched the 20-year-old Chinji before. In fact, I did just that. "Yu-Jean," he suddenly pulled my hand away. "Wake the fuck up, are you still dreaming?" The force was so strong that it hurt me a lot. I immediately felt a little wronged. "Chinji, you can't treat me like this." He was dumbfounded, and his voice became much more urgent. "What did I do to you?" It was clearly you who. "Oh, you mean what happened this afternoon?" I didn't tell anyone. I hardly listened. When he was breathing rapidly, his lower abdomen rose and fell, and his muscles were even more beautiful. He clamped my chin and forced me to look up. "Stop staring." The steam was billowing, and Chinji's face was almost completely red. I started looking at his Adam's apple, which was sliding as he swallowed. It was so sexy, I wanted to suck it. My gaze was too straightforward. He reacted and, in a fit of pique, turned my face towards the wall. "I'm really fed up. Yu-Jean, are you possessed? Ask your mom to find a shaman to exorcise the evil spirits for you." "No need for a shaman," I said with difficulty. "Just have sex with me, and everything will be fine." Chinji was probably stunned for a few seconds, and even his breathing stopped. Then he lost his composure and hurriedly pushed me out. "Are you crazy? Stay away from me." He pushed me mercilessly, and I stumbled and fell to the ground. Sitting down, before I could cry out in pain, there was a sudden loud bang at the door. A classmate dropped his enamel wash basin, turned around, and shouted loudly, "Chinji and Yu-Jean are fighting, 03, because we fought in the bathhouse." Both Chinji and I had our scholarship awarding qualifications cancelled. He probably really couldn't bring himself to say Yu-Jean wants to have a homosexual relationship with me, so he didn't defend himself. "Was this your goal? Sacrificing so much of your own interests to harm me? Is it really worth it?" I was lying on the bed, and my buttocks still twitched with pain from time to time. "Pour me a glass of water." "Who do you think you're ordering around?" I licked my lips. "I want to drink water." Chinji's face was gloomy, and his tone was far from friendly. "Where's the water cup?" "Damn, how many days has it been since you washed it? Don't you know the thermos is empty and needs to be refilled?" He muttered curses and went out. Not long after, he came back with a pot of water. Suddenly, I remembered something. "Chinji, why were you in my dormitory yesterday?" His hand, which was pouring water, paused. "Your roommate said you hadn't woken up, so I came to see if you were dead." TSK, what a disappointment. When the water cup was handed to me, I didn't take it. I tried my best to prop myself up and leaned over to drink. Just as my lips touched the rim of the cup, Chinji suddenly pulled it back. "Don't you have hands? Do you still need me to feed you? We had been together for so long. When I was in my 50s and hospitalized, he even took care of my toileting." I pursed my lips and didn't say anything. I took the water cup and slowly took a sip. Just as I swallowed, my buttocks started hurting again. This time, the pain lasted longer, and I couldn't help moaning. "Is it too hot?" I added cold water. My hand was empty, and Chinji took the cup back. "It's just the right temperature. Are you trying to extort me again?" "Woo, Chinji." I grabbed the bed sheet and gasped. "Help me check. Is my butt purple? Why does it hurt more today than yesterday?" Chin-ji didn't respond. I carefully raised my head and met his complex eyes. Do you know what you're saying? Yeah, I can't see it myself. What's the use of me looking? Can you jump up and down right away or something? Although it made sense, why did it sound so disappointing when he said it? I buried my face in the pillow. Forget it, you can go. Chin-ji really left, very decisively, not willing to stay for even a second. When I heard the door close, a deep sourness welled up in my heart. I shouldn't have had any expectations of Chin-ji at this age. When my roommate comes back, I'll ask him to help me check. If something's wrong, I have to go to the school hospital. Unexpectedly, before my roommate came back, Chin-ji returned, and there was a school doctor following him. 04. The school doctor opened a bottle of medicated oil for promoting blood circulation and removing blood stasis and assigned the task of applying the medicine to Chin-ji. Chin-ji jumped up. Why me? Just because the two of you are on the same notice, dare you say you didn't beat him? Chin-ji opened his mouth several times but swallowed his words back. He admitted it, but when applying the medicine, the force was obviously tinged with a bit of personal resentment. It hurts, don't be so rough, ow. My mouth was covered by him. Chin-ji frowned tightly and gritted his teeth. Are you moaning? Can you stop being so disgusting? My eyelashes were wet with the tears that welled up, and I lowered my eyes and didn't even whimper. His hand stopped for a moment. He clicked his tongue softly, turned his head away, and quickly finished applying the medicine. After washing his hands and coming out, seeing that I was still lying motionless in the same position as before, he came over and gently kicked the foot of the bed. Can't I say a few words to you? Your voice was so loud. There are only two of us in the dormitory. Didn't you think about what others would think if they heard? From my current angle, I was directly facing his waist and hips. He was wearing a blue and white sailor shirt, white suit pants, and a narrow brown leather belt that outlined a perfect waistline. Back then, I just thought Chin-ji was following the fashion and stealing my limelight. Now, well, he was really good looking. Although the 36-year-old Chin-ji was also good-looking, and the 56-year-old Chin-ji was also good-looking, but the Chin-ji at this moment was young, full of vitality, and healthy. I was suddenly stunned. Hey, are you deaf? Chin-ji waved his hand in front of my eyes. I came back to my senses and looked into his eyes, light brown, clear and bright. If you have something to say, just say it. Why are you staring at me? I blurted out. I want to touch yours. Touch what? You touched me. Now it's my turn. What? He suddenly stopped talking, took a step back 2 meters away, and was shocked and angry. You Jean, what are you talking about? I was applying medicine to you, not touching your ass. You didn't touch. That was applying medicine. You didn't touch. When Chin-ji spoke again, he was obviously weak-voiced and a bit compromising. Touched. But it was for applying. I interrupted him. Yeah. I want to touch yours. He pursed his lips tightly. After a long stand-off, he moved his steps and came over. He really let me touch. Just as I reached out my hand, my wrist was grabbed by him. You Jean, are you sick? He pressed my hand on the bed and used his free hand to touch my forehead. Did you have a fever yesterday? You look, not like you're playing tricks on me, but more like you're delirious from a fever. Before, you didn't even bother to talk to me. You hated the air I breathed. Did we really dislike each other that much? It was so long ago. Not only was it from the last century, but it was also from my past life. I could hardly remember those feelings. I only remembered that when we were in love later, we couldn't get enough of each other every day. I liked everything about him. Okay, actually, I don't want to touch. Chin-ji was stunned for a moment and let out a sigh of relief. But his eyes were inexplicably dim. I knew it. You were just playing. I want to have sex with you. In his shock, I continued on my own. I don't hate you at all. You're the only man I can accept. Only you can. Open my body. You Jean. Chin-ji raised his voice to stop me. His face was flushed red. The veins on his forehead were bulging, and his chest was heaving violently. Do you know what shame is? Do you have any sense of decency? How can you say such things? Was this considered shameful? I hadn't even started yet, unfortunately. Chin-ji didn't give me another chance. He fled in a rather way. I was in a daze for a while, and a sense of regret welled up in my heart. My habit of being outspoken like an experienced person made me completely forget that Chin-ji was still an innocent college student. The words I said just now were too shocking, and he must not be able to bear them, but he was right in front of me. I didn't want to wait until I was 36. 05. The school doctor's medicated oil was very effective. After sleeping for one night, I could walk normally. I simply got up early, bought breakfast, and brought it to Chinji's dormitory. When his roommate saw me, he immediately became vigilant. If you two want to fight, go outside, don't drag me into it, we're not fighting. Do you want fried dough sticks or scallion rolls? He didn't dare to eat, for fear that I had poisoned them. He made an excuse of morning exercise and ran away quickly. Chinji also wanted to run, but he didn't succeed. He was caught in the middle of putting on his pants by me. What on earth do you mean? I'm bringing you breakfast, is that so hard to understand? At this moment, he had a dazed look as if he had been forcibly woken up from state of drowsiness, which was so cute that I really wanted to kiss him. I held back, I couldn't scare him away, I had to take it step by step. I started to go to his dormitory whenever I had the chance, got his class schedule, and brazenly attended classes with him. Everyone found it incredible, I explained officially. After the last incident, I have deeply realized my mistakes. Classmates should be united and friendly, not compare or compete with each other. We should learn from Lei Feng, promote new trends, and abide by the 5 stresses, 4 beauties, and 3 loves. Classmate Chinji must also agree. We are striving to become good friends and work together towards the future. The teacher was very pleased, and the classmates were also very pleased. Chinji's cold attitude towards me seemed rather ungrateful. Chinji, Yuzhan was beaten by you, and he's still so conscious. Why are you so narrow-minded? Yeah, he's a grown man, and he's putting aside his pride to hang around you every day. What more do you want? Not to mention, he was probably implicated by you. Yuzhan's credits are higher than yours. Chinji remained silent and secretly pushed me against the wall. You talk so grandly, do they know how dirty your thoughts are? I didn't listen to a single word he said. I was just delighted by our current position. Wow, a wall slam, so nostalgic. He was taken aback. What's a wall slam? It's our current position. According to the development, you're going to kiss me next. Chinji's originally fierce expression instantly collapsed, and he let go of me as if he had been electrocuted. Who wants to kiss you? He stammered, looking completely at a loss, which was so cute. If you don't want to kiss on the lips, that's okay too. I hooked my index finger on his belt, slowly squatted down, and looked up at him. My chin rubbed against that fabric intentionally or unintentionally. Chinji, how long has it been since you released? He was completely stunned by this sentence and just stared blankly, without any reaction. Damn, I went too far again by accident, but since I had already said it, I might as well continue. At present, he couldn't accept pleasing me, but could he still refuse my initiative to please him? I bit the zipper with my teeth. Just as I pulled it down halfway, he moved. He moved like a robot that had just been assembled but not yet debugged. His whole body was tense as he stiffly pushed my face away. Yuzhan, I'm begging you, be normal. I am normal, but you, I drawled innocently, are you being too sensitive? His Adam's apple rolled unnaturally a couple of times. Obviously, he realized what I was talking about. For a moment, he didn't know whether to continue blocking my head or cover his crotch. After a flurry of actions, he just hastily left with a sentence. I'm going back to class. He walked in a clumsy way, with his ears so red that they could drip blood. 06. On the day when the scholarship list was announced, the classmate who originally ranked 3rd suddenly invited me to dinner. I was a bit surprised but quickly agreed. After all, if Chinji and I hadn't been disqualified, this money would never have gone to him. I didn't agree just for the meal. Chinji had been avoiding me for several days, and I was just worried that I couldn't find an excuse to continue seducing him. When I entered the small restaurant, I found that Chinji wasn't there. Did he refuse to come? That classmate scalded the chopsticks and bowls for me and smiled awkwardly. I only invited you. My hand, which was about to pick up food, paused. What do you mean? Soon I understood what his unease and awkwardness were about. He was actually the person who had caught me and Chinji at the bathroom door. The scene that day was chaotic, and my buttocks were in so much pain that I didn't have time to see who it was. Even if I had seen him, I probably wouldn't have remembered. We had no interaction before. I heard everything outside. I knew you two weren't fighting. He stammered and glanced at me. But I really need this money. His family was poor, and his younger sister, who depended on him, was sick. He was at the end of his rope and had originally planned to drop out of school and work, but unexpectedly got this 2 birds with 1 stone opportunity. I'm really sorry. I will definitely pay you back when I earn money in the future. Forget about the repayment. Not everyone can get the top grade scholarship by playing tricks. You have the strength yourself. But it should have been you who got it, should have been, you could have kept this a secret, but he still chose to be honest with me. I smiled and reached out to open a bottle of wine. The small restaurant was full of noise, and the heat mixed with the cooking fumes, forming a mist. He apologized again and then started babbling about his family affairs. I suddenly asked him, "Don't you think I'm disgusting?" He was stunned for a moment and then shook his head. "This kind of thing has existed in every generation, it's normal." My thoughts suddenly became a bit blurred. Chinji and I had sponsored many people. Some people insisted on thanking us in person. But when they saw that the sponsors were a same-sex couple, their faces changed drastically, as if the money had become dirty. There were also some people who, after learning that we didn't have children, tried every means to put their own children in our household registration, hoping to inherit our considerable inheritance in the future. Obviously, all those things were in the past, and I had already let go of them, but at this moment, I was on the verge of tears because of the word normal. I couldn't help but drink a bit too much. After the classmate paid the bill, he helped me walk back to school. Taking advantage of leaning on him, I secretly stuffed some money into his pocket. "Look at the sky. It seems like it's going to snow soon." Hearing this, I looked up. The ink blue sky was divided into small pieces by the intertwined wires, and each piece looked heavy, brewing a snowfall. Probably. The hot air I exhaled turned into pure white frost mist. As the mist dissipated, I saw Chinji in front of me. He was standing at the alley entrance with his hands in his pockets, and behind him were colorful neon string lights. There was no expression on his face. He stared at me for 2 seconds, then coldly glanced at the person beside me and turned around without saying a word and left. It took me a few seconds to react sluggishly, and then I chased after him with unsteady steps. The classmate shouted from behind, "Yujan, be careful." I didn't have time to answer him because Chinji was walking even faster. "Chinji." I tried to call him, and my voice echoed from one end of the alley to the other. Chinji's figure paused for a moment but didn't stop. His back was getting farther and farther away. I slowly stopped and leaned against the wall, gasping for breath. I had been immersed in the past during the whole meal and unconsciously stuffed too much food into my mouth. At this moment, my stomach was in turmoil. The cold wind was also hitting my head directly, making my brain dizzy and swollen. I felt so uncomfortable, but all these couldn't compare to the pain in my heart. It was as if a bubble of sour water had burst in my heart, wrinkling it and making it unable to relax. I thought of that banquet again. That kind of business entertainment was a common occurrence for us, but no matter what the occasion, Chinji would always maintain his last bit of rationality. He knew that I couldn't hold my liquor well. Once I drank and was exposed to the wind, I would get drunk, and once I got drunk, I would feel very uncomfortable. He had to stay sober to take me home, cook me hangover soup, change my clothes, hold me in his arms, rub my temples, pat my back, and take care of me when I got up at night. At that time, I always had a broad, solid, and warm back to rely on, not being penetrated by such cold wind. "Hey, can you still walk?" The howling wind was suddenly paused. Someone stood beside me. The lost warmth was gradually returning to my body. I turned my head in a daze. Although my vision was blurry, I still recognized at a glance that it was Chinji. He said to me with a straight face, "If I find out you're still playing me, I'll really beat you up." I was stunned for a while, and then I was suddenly hit by an inexplicable sense of grievance. "Chinji, you don't want me anymore. How can you leave me behind? We said we would go together. You're a big liar. You left without saying a word. You didn't leave me a single word. Do you know how tormented I was in the last few years? I wanted to go to you earlier every day, but I was afraid you would scold me if I went too early. When the doctor finally said to give up, I was so happy. I could finally go to you without worry." Chinji covered my wrist and frowned. "Yujan. What are you talking about, Chinji?" Scalding tears rolled down from my eyes. I grabbed his collar and couldn't help sobbing. "I like you so much." The man in front of me was obviously shocked. His originally casual expression suddenly became solemn. After a while, a self-deprecating smile appeared on his face. "Ha, you say you like me, that you can only accept me, yet you're cuddling with another man. You're talking bullshit. You don't have a single word of truth in your mouth." It wasn't like that. I wanted to explain, but as soon as I opened my mouth, an ominous feeling suddenly surged in my body. It was too late to turn around. With a vomit, everything I ate and drank tonight was vomited all over Chinji. His face was extremely ugly. Gnashing his teeth, he said word by word, "Yujan, so this is what you mean by only opening your body to me, right? 07. I didn't know how Chinji got me back to the dormitory later. When I woke up, my head still had some hangover after effects, and I was completely dizzy. My roommate handed me a glass of water and winked at me. Did you two really make up? It took me a few seconds to digest this sentence before I realized he was talking about Chinji. He carried you all the way up. He was only wearing a sweater and was shivering from the cold. He also specifically told me to give you some warm water to drink when you woke up. By the way, where did you two drink? Take me there someday. The warm water flowed down my throat, and the discomfort was relieved a lot. I perfunctorily replied a few words and got out of bed to look for Chinji. He wasn't there. Was he still avoiding me? Damn it, did I say something out of line again last night? I couldn't remember. I was holding my head, trying hard to recall when someone suddenly patted me on the shoulder. Yujan, there's a phone call for you at the reception. The phone call was from home, asking me to go back. Halfway on the bus, it started to snow outside. Someone on the bus was sighing that the first snow of this year came early and the harvest next year must be good. The first snow. My brain suddenly went cold. The snowflakes fluttering outside the window became blurred in my vision. Chinji passed away 5 years earlier than me. It was also a snowy day. We were making tea by the stove on the balcony, roasting peanuts and rice cakes. Chinji saw that the snow outside had stopped and said he was going out to buy some tangerines. I saw others roasting them like this. Our stove is too empty. That meaningless sentence became the last one between us. He fell on the snow and never woke up again. The doctor said it was probably an old illness flaring up. For the elderly, a random fall could be fatal. It was a pity, but there was nothing to be done. Chinji had an old leg injury left from his youth. There was no problem with his daily walking, but when it was windy, rainy, or cold, it would hurt terribly. I knew how he got that injury. My house was burglarized by a thief, and Chinji, who happened to be awake, saw it. When he chased after and struggled with the thief, in a fit of rage, broke his tibia with an iron rod. That day was also the first snow day. It was today, 08. Chinji and I became neighbors when we were 6 years old. Our parents had a big quarrel over the unit assigned housing problem, and their relationship had always been bad. They basically didn't communicate. Children don't have a concept of grudges. All their thoughts are subtly influenced by their families. If the family says someone is a bad guy, then that person is a bad guy. This fixed impression was deepened time and time again, and Chinji and I became sworn enemies. At this moment, I knocked on his door. His mother was very surprised to see me. "Auntie, hello, I'm looking for Chinji. I ran all the way here after getting off the bus." I tried to calm my breathing, but I was still panting heavily. She looked back blankly. "Chinji was having dinner. I got drunk last night and fell on the road. Chinji, out of kindness, sent me back to the dormitory. I want to thank him in person." "He sent you? Weren't you two just in a fight?" A thought flashed through my mind. Well, actually, that award doesn't mean much to us. But the classmate ranked behind us really needs this scholarship, so Chinji and I deliberately staged a play to give up the award. Obviously, she wasn't that easy to fool. She looked skeptical. Just as I was struggling with how to continue making up the story, Chinji's voice came. "Mom, it's as he said. When I was with Chinji, the old house here had already been demolished." This was the first time I stepped into the room that carried his childhood memories. I was full of curiosity and looked around. "Wow, when was this photo taken? You're so cute. Is this chessboard from the chess club next to the affiliated primary school of University A? I have one too. Why haven't I seen you wear this piece of clothing?" Afraid of matching mine, Chinji leaned against the cabinet beside me and interrupted me. "What's the matter? Did you specifically come to my house?" I smiled. "I came to thank you." "Cut it out, to care about you. I heard you were frozen last night." "Heh," he snorted and sat on the bed. "I won't freeze to death, okay? I came to apologize." Chinji raised his eyes and glanced at me. This time, he didn't say anything. "I thought of something sad last night and drank too much. I couldn't control myself. I didn't mean to vomit on you." "Oh," he replied indifferently. After a pause, he asked, "Was it because you didn't get the scholarship?" The sad thing, why was he focusing on this? Of course not. Regarding the scholarship, half of what I said to your mother just now is true. The classmate I had dinner with really needs that money. We might as well consider it as doing a good deed. As I was talking, I stopped. My heart was pounding. I leaned over and asked tentatively, "Do you care about me a lot? Don't be narcissistic. Then do you hate me?" Chinji looked away. "Have you finished?" I want to sleep, the upper bunk leaked last night. And I didn't sleep a wink. I stared at him intently and reached out to hold his face. You'll like me, just as much as I like you. Before he could react, I quickly pecked his lips. Go to bed early tonight, 09. I made an excuse of having a stomachache and didn't go with my family to a wedding banquet in another place. I didn't plan to sleep tonight. I was really muddle-headed when I was old. How could I have no regrets? There were so many regrets. Since I had a chance to start over, I should avoid this senseless leg injury for him. I vaguely remembered that the thief broke in at midnight. Considering the time it took for the police to arrive, I called the police 10 minutes in advance using the home phone. Unexpectedly, as soon as I hung up the phone, there was a rustling sound at the door. My heart skipped a beat. Was he here so early? However, I had locked the door and inserted the bolt in advance. He shouldn't be able to get in. The noise lasted for more than a minute and then stopped. I crouched down and tiptoed to the door, holding my breath and listening for a long time. It seemed that there was no one outside. Did he give up after a failed attempt? I slowly straightened up when my ear suddenly caught a click. If I were in my 80s, I would tell myself that my bones and my body were disobeying me after bending over for too long. But now, I was only in my early 20s. I knew that someone had entered the house, upstairs. Damn it, this thief had scouted the place really well. He must have been watching my house for a while and knew that one of the anti-theft windows on the second floor was broken. I was torn between hiding and immediately opening the door to escape. The creaking sound above my head was getting closer and closer. The person was coming down the stairs. My heart was pounding so hard that it almost jumped out of my chest. In a panic, I got under the tablecloth. When I sat back, I bumped into the chair and made a short noise. I covered my mouth tightly. At the critical moment, I suddenly remembered that the bolt hadn't been opened yet. This kind of thing that could only be operated from the inside was like a blatant notice telling him that there was someone at home. I secretly prayed that he was a timid person and would leave as soon as he realized this. The snow had already accumulated, and the room was lit by the snow light. Not too dark, I clearly saw the thief's cloth shoes as he walked down the last 2 steps. There was a tattered cloth bag hanging on his waist, faintly revealing the shapes of the things inside. My radio, and it seemed there were also a few medals. He was dismantling the telephone downstairs. There wasn't much to steal in this era. Anything with a bit of metal could be exchanged for money. Was it because of the snow? The police were taking so long to arrive. When I saw the person carrying my TV and walking out, I finally let out a sigh of relief. Forget it, losing money to avoid disaster. At least no one was hurt. Just as I was halfway through calming down, there was a sudden creaking sound of stepping on the snow outside, very soft, but very steady. The thief obviously heard it too and quickly walked towards the door. He was stunned for a moment when he saw the bolt, just for a moment. He quickly opened it and turned the doorknob. The cold wind, carrying snowflakes, rushed into the room. The tablecloth was blown up, and I saw the person I least wanted to see at the moment. Hadn't I told him to go to bed early? Chinji was standing outside the door, his voice as cold as this snowy night. Put the things down. 10. I scrambled out from under the table and shouted at Chinji, stay away from him. The thief had a weapon. Everything that happened later was too fast. The snow that was raised during the struggle was as fluttering as the snow falling from the sky. The world seemed to be in slow motion. Adrenaline was controlling my body, and there was only one thought in my mind: Chinji couldn't get hurt. The siren of the police car came from afar, as if it was a signal. Suddenly, the strength drained from my body, my legs went weak, and I fell to the ground. Chinji quickly supported me. Why are you at home? I didn't have time to answer. I was eager to check his condition. I patted him up and down. Fortunately, he wasn't hurt. Stop touching. I'm fine. He grabbed my wrist. Your hand is broken. Let's go to the hospital. I stared blankly at my palm. Only then did the burning pain climb up my nerves, and I gasped in pain belatedly. You're so stupid. Didn't you know to let go? I didn't dare to let go. If I let go, the iron rod would swing towards the person I loved. When we were together. More than a decade had passed since this incident. All the memories had become blurred. I knew he had left behind sequelae, but the impact wasn't that strong anymore. But now I really wanted to ask, Chinji, why did you meddle in other people's business? He clearly hated me so much and should have been happy to see my things being stolen. Chinji helped me into the car. Who asked me not to be able to fall asleep and just happened to see it? When you couldn't fall asleep, were you watching me? He slammed the car door shut. By the time my wound was bandaged and the statement was taken, it was already the middle of the night. My family was on their way back after being notified. Shinji and I said goodbye at the intersection. I was still in a state of shock and wanted him to stay with me, but his mother was waiting for him at the door. Then you go to bed early. I walked back slowly, stepped up the stairs, and entered the house, just as the door was about to close. A hand suddenly reached out and held the door panel. Seeing how pitiful you are, I'll reluctantly stay with you for a while. 11. There was only one pillow on my bed. Shinji lay on the outermost side, fully clothed, and didn't even cover himself with the quilt. I wriggled over and lifted a corner of the quilt. Aren't you cold? Not cold, but I'm cold. I lost a lot of blood from my hand, and my body is so cold. I can't even warm up the quilt by myself, I said pitifully, and finally. Shinji moved, but he only got into the quilt and stayed far away from me. Shinji, I'm scared, can you come closer? Ha, he snorted, what are you scared of? You were the craziest fighter just now, you even scared the thief to death. I was afraid you'd get hurt, I muttered softly. You're so stingy. Me, stingy? Shinji laughed. After what you did to me during the day, I'm already being generous enough not to punch you. I played dumb. What did I do? The bedboard creaked. And Shinji turned to his side, his eyes pitch black. Want to renege? I'm old, I have a bad memory. Shinji took a deep breath, and his tone was stiff. You kissed me. Oh. After I replied, I didn't say anything else. The room fell silent, only the sound of our breathing and the rustling sound of the snow outside. After a while, he couldn't help but speak, just this one word. I'm thinking. Thinking about what? Do you regret it? Thinking. If I kiss you now, will you punch me? Shinji closed his mouth. Will you? Shinji didn't say anything. I slowly moved closer, getting closer and closer to his face until our breaths intertwined. I'm the injured one now. You can't beat me. Shinji still didn't say a word. I gently pressed my lips against his. As light as a feather, I clearly captured the tremor of his eyelashes and the rhythm of his breath that was instantly disrupted. Do you like it? His voice became much hoarser. It's really disgusting. Oh, then open your mouth. Shinji's eyes were fixed on me in the darkness. What for? To give you something even more disgusting. After many years, a kiss led by me, the 20-year-old Shinji and the 20-year-old Yuzhan. The young body was really good. It quickly got too hot in the quilt. At my urging, Shinji silently took off his clothes. He was quite passionate during the deep kiss, but somehow he suddenly became sullen. He was probably just shy. I didn't have time to think deeply. At the moment, I was extremely nervous, since Shinji had become enlightened after sleeping together back then. Tonight must be a perfect first-time experience for him. In both my past life and this life, I had never been so hard-working. But the more enthusiastic I was, the calmer he became. The amorous affair almost became a one-man show for me. At the critical moment, he suddenly pushed me away and got up. I think you're not cold anymore. Then I'll go home. I was completely dumbfounded. I wanted to pester him further, but suddenly, the voices of my parents came from downstairs, so I could only stop in a hurry. 12. Early the next morning, I took the fruits and gifts prepared by my parents to Shinji's house to thank him. But I was told that he had already returned to school. What on earth went wrong? Was he really that shy? I rushed back to school quickly and went to his dormitory to block him. There was a bluish tint under Shinji's eyes. It was obvious that he hadn't slept at all. What do you mean? You slept with me and then ran away? He glanced at me, and his eyes were evasive. We didn't even finish. Was this a midway rejection? Was I being rejected? This was simply a great humiliation. I grabbed his collar and pushed him onto the bed. Shinji, I didn't perform well last night. Let's try again. He turned his head away, avoiding my kiss. I gritted my teeth and turned his head back. If you have the guts, hit me. This time, it was quite difficult to pry open his lips and teeth. It wasn't until I tasted the smell of blood that he relaxed and let me in. I was so absorbed that I didn't hear the movement outside the dormitory door. When Shinji pushed me away, the door just opened. His roommate came in, groaning and not noticing us. I silently stepped back. What's wrong? He grimaced in pain. The section of the road to the water room was frozen. Damn it, I wasn't careful and fell. I remembered the medicated oil from the school doctor. I still have half of the medicine I used last time. I'll go get it for you. I went back to the dormitory, washed my face, and when I came back with the medicine, he was already lying on the bed, face down. Thank you. I had a misunderstanding about you before. You're really a nice person. Be gentle. okay, was he asking me to apply the medicine for him? Apply, well, just apply it. I squatted down beside his bed and was about to unscrew the lid when my elbow was suddenly grabbed. The medicine bottle was snatched away and thrown in front of the roommate. Chinji pulled me out with a cold face. What are you doing? Your roommate is still waiting. Chinji didn't let go until we reached the stairwell. I rotated my arm, feeling a bit annoyed. Young people have such a bad temper, they get angry for no reason. Mature men just say what's on their minds. There's no such beating around the bush. Who are you comparing me with? I was stunned for a moment and then stiffly raised my head. His eyes were like a deep sea, surging with emotions I couldn't understand. I'm not. Don't deny it. I can feel it. My heart suddenly trembled. I seemed to have really said something like, why are you so stupid? Can't you move? Last night, am I the first? Chinji took a step closer, and his cold aura instantly enveloped me. Am I the first one you're playing with? You're so skilled. Did you practice on others? My mind went blank. I was so focused on getting Chinji to accept me as soon as possible that I didn't notice at all that his passion had ebbed early, and what surged up instead was unease and hesitation. Was the Yuzhan in front of him still the same Yuzhan? His behavior was so frivolous. Like that of another person who was experienced in love. Was the like he said a real like, or just a ticket to a physical relationship? What about after acceptance? Would he be abandoned like those people before? 13. I didn't know how to explain. I could only mumble and shake my head, my words weak. I'm not playing around, and there's no one else. Chinji kept watching me in silence. A few people came up from downstairs, noisily carrying hot water kettles. He gently put his arm around me and moved me to the inside. I stared blankly at his jawline and heard myself ask, Chinji, do you like me? He turned his head slightly. Does it matter? It matters a lot. It matters so much, Chinji. That night, I had a dream. I dreamed that I was lying on the snow, and snowflakes were floating down leisurely from the gray clouds. All around me, there were tangerines scattered on the ground. I sat up abruptly. There was no one beside me. In the vast expanse of white snow, there was only me. In the first 2 years after Chinji left, I could never control my thoughts. I kept obsessively imagining what he saw last and what he was thinking in his heart. Later, I stopped thinking about it. I just waited for the doctor to pronounce my death sentence as soon as possible so that I could go and ask him myself. In the dream, I lay back on the snow again and stared blankly at the sky. Then, in an instant, I heard his voice. I didn't have enough time, Yuzhan. We fell in love too late and missed out on so much. I want to start over with you from the beginning. 14. I bought breakfast and knocked on Chinji's door. His roommate opened the door for me, his eyes lighting up. Thank you. I want the scallion rolls. Ah, sorry, I didn't buy yours. This one is for Chinji. Chinji was sitting by the bed. He lifted his eyelids to glance at me and then continued putting on his clothes. His roommate wailed a few times and put on his coat. You two are so heartless, making the injured person apply the medicine by himself and also making the injured person buy his own breakfast. I urged him, hurry up and go downstairs, or the scallion rolls will be sold out. He ran off, muttering curses. I dragged the table to the front of his bed and sat down opposite him. Chinji, let's get to know each other again. My name is Yuzhan. I'm your neighbor, childhood friend, classmate, and rival. Now, I'm your suitor. This is my first campus romance. Forgive me if I'm clumsy, I'll change. He stared at me. First time, I nodded. You're the first, and also the last. Chinji lowered his eyes and reached out to open the breakfast, pretending not to notice the corners of his mouth that he couldn't suppress. I continued to ask, I saw the chessboard in your room last time. Do you like playing chess? Do you want to go to the chess club together this weekend? He slowly took a sip of soy milk. I don't like playing chess now. Then what do you like? He thought for a while. Watching movies. That's 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 watching